Welcome to the live show. Thank you for tuning in to the live show. You know what time it is. It is your boy Genesis. And today is Wednesday, okay? And the time is 6:28 p.m. and today's date is the 11th of December 2024. And just want to say thank you guys for being here. Thank you for tuning into the live stream. You guys are the best. God bless you for tuning in. And of course, the title for today's stream is The Update You Have Been Waiting For All Day. Okay, because I know y'all been waiting for all day. You ever say, "Where, Genesis, where are you? Come on live stream, Genesis." Well, I'm here. I'm here, people. I'm here. All right, let's get it done. Let's get it done. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started in here. All right. With that being said, it is your boy Genesis one more time. You know what time it is. Let's get straight to the point. Of course, you know you've heard about the Biden updates on his spin when it comes to the economy and the recovery of the economy. And of course, you've heard about the United Healthcare CEO guy. And of course, you've heard about the hero case on the subway. And yeah, we have a couple of things to touch on today. We also have the mayor of Chicago. And everybody seems to be turning red, flipping red on the mayor. Everybody's like, yo, we're about to be Republicans up in here. And it's like, wait, what? And everybody knows Chicago is a big blue city. Illinois basically is a big blue city. But now it's looking like it might be flipping red. But we're going to start today with the 5 on Fox and their updates when it comes to Biden's spin on the economy recovery. And then we're going to work our way down the list, okay? Thank you for being here one more time. Smash the like button, double tap your screen, subscribe to the channel. Well, consider subscribing to the channel, okay? I am grateful. Thank you for being here. Let's get it.
All right, the lame duck is fighting to define his legacy, or whatever's left of it. President Biden giving a speech and doing his best to put a positive spin on his economic.
Did they just call this guy the lame duck? Oh man, they just call this guy the lame duck, y'all. Why would you call the sitting president of the United States a lame duck, y'all? I don't know what's going on with these folks, but they're calling the president a lame duck. Man, hoo-wee. I guess he cussed it. Wouldn't you say he cussed it? I mean, I don't know, but calling the president a lame duck, that's wild. That's way too wild. But anyway, that's where we are right now. Let's listen.
Record, one that most folks will remember for sky-high inflation.
Next month, my administration will end and a new administration will begin. Most economists agree the new administration is going to inherit a fairly strong economy.
Bro.
Also learned something from Donald Trump.
Yeah, he said most economists agree that the OG, the 45th, now the 47th president-elect is going to inherit a strong economy. Is that what he just said? Fairly strong economy? Yeah, go ask the gas prices. Go ask the grocery prices. Go ask the single moms, the fathers working back to back 2-3 jobs just to meet up with the bills, especially electricity bills. The bills on your electricity has gone all the way up, and it's just the facts.
He signed checks for people for $7,400 because we passed the plan. And I didn't. Stupid.
And looks like Kathy Hochul didn't get the
What's going on there, bro?
memo on the spending and how it caused inflation. The New York State governor hitting the grocery store as she promotes a plan to hand out $300 checks for anyone making up to $150,000.
They will send you a check to buy your groceries for a month or whatever you want to spend it on. I say it's your money, it belongs in your pocket, and it's coming your way.
Okay, lots to get to here. Jesse, is there any better representation of Biden? In the speech, he's talking about rural broadband, okay? And he's talking about how great rural broadband is. And then he was pressed for numbers. How many people, Mr. President, have been connected? Zero. And you know how much they spent? $42 billion.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
It's just one example.
Right. So as the resident historian at the table, I have a bachelor's in history. That's the only reason.
So do I.
Same.
Darn it.
Didn't know that.
The third string resident historian at the table. I'm going to give you a non-biased legacy assessment of Joe Biden. All right. This is what history will remember Joe Biden for.
Okay.
COVID got him in office. Oldest president of all time. Afghanistan withdrawal.
Yeah.
Ukraine, illegal immigration, inflation, industrial policy, lawfare, coup, pardon.
Crime.
That's it. That's it. And he'll just be a sleepy little intermission between Donald Trump's terms. Because this wasn't the roaring 20s. You had all-time highs in suicides, homelessness, drug overdoses under Joe Biden. The only bright spot, because I am so fair as a historian, the stock market and Bitcoin. But for the rest of the country, the American dream was out of reach. Not my words. Those are the words of Kamala Harris. And it's because no one could afford to buy a house, no one got a raise in 4 years, and everybody was saddled with credit card debt. Now, the job gains, which I'm sure Jessica is going to bring up, are a mirage. Most of those job gains were snapback jobs from the pandemic, and a third of those jobs were from foreigners. We talked with Halperin the other day, and he said Joe Biden might not even get a presidential library. And now he's saying Joe Biden might not even get paid speaking gigs afterwards.
Who's going to pay him?
Who's going to pay him? So I really don't care about these speeches. He reads this off a teleprompter as people wrote it. It's meaningless. I want to see the final press conference that all presidents do at the end of their presidency so I can see our very own stupid son of a bitch, Peter Doocy, tangle with the big guy one last time.
I would pay. Jessica, your name was invoked several times. Let me turn it over to you to talk about how great the jobs are and how many doors they knocked on.
Don't mock me in my doors. It's still sensitive. The legacy of Joe Biden will be obviously complicated by how this ended and with Kamala losing, but he oversaw the best recovery in the G7 by far and away. Inflation in this country is lower. Unemployment in this country is lower. He expanded the number of people who got access to affordable health care, Medicaid expansion. We are producing more oil than any other time in world history under Joe Biden. The stock market, it was generous of you to give it. Donald Trump is out there trying to pretend that it's because he's coming back, that's why everyone is so hyped about this. We have been hitting record after record after record under Joe Biden. In terms of the jobs that you say are mirages, we can talk about all the revisions that happened under other presidents as well. But even if you removed all of the jobs that we lost during COVID, the snapback jobs, I think is what you called them, under the Biden-Harris administration, we still got more jobs at a faster clip than we did under the Trump administration. It's just a fact. Look it up, historian number 3 at the table.
All right.
Joey,
Well, it's because people have to work 2 or 3 more jobs than they had to under Trump. So, yeah, compare the number of jobs to the number of people working. Everybody's working 2 jobs just to make it through. I gave $67,000 for a truck in 2020. It's $120,000 now. I sold my house in 2023 for 120% more than I gave for it. And I just moved that money into another house that's way overpriced. So I love when DC or Karine Jean-Pierre loves to talk about how inflation's come down. But if you're spending all of your money to be able to get somewhere and live somewhere, it really doesn't matter if eggs even out. You still are broke, and that's the problem. I'm not going to sit here and give you a million reasons why Joe Biden created the worst economy, because I don't know that. I'm not an economist. But I live in Calhoun, Georgia. I live in a small town, a rural town. I've got more cows and corn for neighbors than people. And every single one of those people felt this economy in the worst of ways. And that's not a lie or a charade or a mirage. I appreciate the fact that he didn't take over from COVID and just drive us so far on the ground that now we're socialist. But man, he sure tried. And thankfully, thanks to that trickle-down economics, I guess, thanks to the fact that this country is incredibly resilient, even in the face of bad policy, and expensive energy, we've hung around. And now we've reelected President Trump. In a time when almost every election across the country, from Texas to Georgia to New York, looks 50-50, and it looks like it's won in the margins, President Trump won in a resounding victory. He won all 7 swing states. He won the popular vote. And to me, that's a bigger move than if a Democrat won it, because Republicans haven't winning it. Those people didn't vote because they think that the economy might be bad. They voted that way because they have not had money in their pockets. I don't know if President Trump can fix that, but Joe Biden didn't fix it. There's no evidence that Joe Biden fixed it.
Judge, a lot of people will never forget that when they couldn't afford gas and groceries, Joe Biden was out there doling out green energy subsidies to his friends and asking taxpayers to bail out the student loans of doctors and lawyers.
Yeah. And honestly, I hope the next administration looks at the billions that went into green energy. Who got the money? Why did they get the money? Was there any success? Maybe we ought to start suing them if they weren't successful. I believe in that. I'm a lawyer. And by the way, you're in Georgia, you have more corn and cows for neighbors. Can you bring corn the next time you come back from Georgia? All right. Now, I think it's ironic that Joe Biden is taking a victory lap on economics, which was the issue that he lost on. I mean, that makes absolutely no sense, but the man's delusional. So, I mean, I'm not surprised. Look, when Trump was leaving, unemployment was coming down. And by the way, when you talked about unemployment, you talked about more jobs. Did you discount the 800,000 jobs that they overcounted and lied about? I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
Mentioned revisions.
Yeah, thank you. You did? Good.
Yeah,
All
glad you were
so,
listening.
$7 trillion of taxpayer money went into the economy, and that was only because of the 1.9 trillion, I should say, that they never conceded, and they won't acknowledge that created the inflation, which peaked 17 months into the Biden administration term. That's when it peaked. It peaked because of their policies. And finally, you know, Hochul, I mean, she's an idiot. I'm sorry. That's not very nice, but you are. I mean, now you want to give away money? I mean, you know, you just figure this out? I mean, she's like slow on the draw, very slow.
Bidenomics, y'all. Bidenomics. There you have it. Everybody knew that Bidenomics wasn't working. It was a disaster to everybody in the United States. We saw the gas prices go all the way up. Interest rate. Shout out to Harris Carey. Harris Carey says highest interest rate in the history of the world. Highest interest rate in the history of the world, y'all. This guy made sure that mortgage rate was about what? 7, 8, 9%, 10%. How are you gonna be buying a home on that kind of mortgage rate? Interest rate for credit card went all the way up. And now Trump is saying he's going to bring it down to 10%, cap it up in 10%, or cap it up on 10% for now until everybody get their selves together, because everybody's going through life at this point. Bidenomics did not work for anybody, but he's saying he has a fairly good economy and is passing down a good economy to Trump. And now when Trump comes in and he does great things for the economy, guess what people are going to say? It's Biden economy. It's Biden economy, everybody. Don't believe this guy. It's Biden economy. No, it ain't. Just like the same way they said it was Obama's economy. They're going to say it is Biden's economy. The Biden economy is what Trump is using to flex, because I know this guy's going to turn it around, because now gas prices is already going down. So now they're going to say, well, it's Biden economy, everybody. It's Biden economy. When the war stops, it's Biden. It ain't Trump.
These are all drones in the sky. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
And what's going
7.
on right now?
We're passing each other. I mean, how do they not know what's going on? Stop cursing.
So dozens of drones have been spotted flying over New Jersey. You probably heard about this, including near Trump's Bedminster Golf Club and the Picatinny Arsenal, which is a military research and manufacturing facility. But whose drones are they? And why are they being deployed?
What is going on in New Jersey.
The Bureau is actively investigating the situation you mentioned. We do not attribute that to an individual or a group yet. We're investigating, but I don't have an answer of who's responsible for that.
What do they have an answer about over at the FBI? Well, obviously, whoever purchased these drones and then decided to direct them above sensitive sites, they're doing so for a reason. But don't worry.
Yeah,
Democrat Governor Phil Murphy says, relax.
We don't see any concern for public safety. We had last night 49 sightings. These are apparently very, as I understand it, very sophisticated. The minute you get eyes on them, they go dark.
No, so he doesn't believe what anyone's saying. Is that supposed to be a joke? Joining me now, Steve Rogers, former New Jersey police lieutenant and retired naval officer, and Brent Sadler.
What do you guys think these drones are, though? Why are there drones in the sky flying above sensitive zones that you would say that they are classified? Nobody should be flying over these area, and you have drones flying over people's homes. They don't even know, and it's not like one drone. It's like a lot of drones. What would you do if you see like 10 drones flying over your home? It's like, wait. This ain't good, guys.
Heritage Foundation senior fellow, former Pentagon official, Navy captain. Brent, what do you think of Governor Murphy's flippant response there?
It's flippant and totally unacceptable. We're about 6 to 8 years into this dilemma with these drones gone wild across the country and certainly monitoring our military activities. If you go back to 2018's legislation, which was the topic of the hearing today, but better answers, better countermeasures are long past due.
And Steve, given all your experience on the force, I mean, police officers, they have a limited ability to respond to this. I mean, but I know just regular people watching this tonight are wondering, why are we dismissing that these could actually endanger people on the ground or sensitive sites?
Well, we shouldn't dismiss anything. And by the way, in all my years with military intelligence, I could tell you, Laura, we have the most sophisticated intelligence gathering instruments on the face of the earth. So I don't buy this explanation that, well, we don't know who they are, we can't answer this, we can't answer that. And in regard to Governor Murphy's statement, how does he know there's no threat? Has he been told something that the public has not been told? So I'm beginning to believe that maybe somehow it's our government that may be involved in some testing of these drones. Now, I don't have that as a fact, but short of them giving us information, what conclusion do you really come to?
Now, Brent, can these drones, could they be in some way weaponized?
No, absolutely. Even the small drones you can buy over the internet or online that DJI makes are what's killing Russian soldiers in Ukraine right now. So absolutely, you can weaponize these with things off the shelf, and you get at your store, at your Kmart down the street. But the other thing that's important, there's several different sizes of these drones that are being reported. The small ones, there's a history there that ties back to China that I think is worth bringing up, because just this week you had a Chinese national arrested for operating one of these small drones in and around Vandenberg Air Force Base during a space launch.
This reminds me a little bit, it's a different.
And that's wild. Some people are saying this may be Chinese intelligence going on, flying around, trying to gather some information on the United States intelligence. It's like, this ain't good, because if you have potential Chinese drones flying around sensitive sites that could potentially be bad for the United States, then it needs to be shut down. It needs to be shut down. I mean, this is my opinion, okay? Shout out to YouTube. But it needs to be, if there's a drone flying around spaces that the United States classify as a very important site for the innovation of technology or military space, there shouldn't be a drone flying across that area. It's just, why? And then the Bureau is like, they don't know. Why wouldn't you even know?
Facts, obviously. But Steve, of the surveillance balloon, remember we were told initially the Chinese that was nothing, and Then we saw it flying over the United States, and it turns out it was a sophisticated surveillance operation that had already fed back information to China, a lot of information, before we actually destroyed it. So again, the dismissive.
And this has been happening since February of 2023. Like you see up here, this was an old video from last year, February 4, 2023. This is Surfside Beach, South Carolina. This was in South Carolina. Now they're getting new updates in New Jersey with multiple drones in the air. That's not good.
Before we actually destroyed it. So again, the dismissive response from Governor Murphy, I find that appalling. Really quickly.
Well, I do too, because not only could they arm these drones with bombs, they could certainly use chemical weapons on these drones. Dismiss nothing, but send the helicopters up, send our drones up, the satellites could track them. How about getting straight with the American people? Let us know what's going on.
Yeah, this next 4 years is about to be spicy, everybody. Next 4 years is about to be spicy because now nobody's going to remember this drone started from the Biden administration, because now Trump is coming in. People are going to say, well, the drone started when the OG came into power. No, these drones have been going on since last year, probably 2 years now. But let's see how the OG Donald J. Trump handles the drone issue. I believe he's going to say, you know what? Get them down. Let's see what they're doing. Like, let's see what's going on. Let's see the kind of information we can attract or take from this or extract from these drones. Let's see the kind of information we can extract from these drones. And what in the world is going on with drones flying around the United States? People have always been talking about UFO, alien ship, and all that stuff. But is this it? Is this American drones, Chinese drones, aliens, or what do you guys think? Some people are saying it's aliens and Chinese drones. This is just getting wild by the day. More drone issues.
Let's bring in Brett Velikovich. He's a former special operations intelligence analyst and a drone expert. So my dad reached out to me yesterday because we go to Jersey on the weekends, Ocean County, and he said, what is going on? I said, I'm going to ask Brett in the morning. So here, Brett, tell my dad, what do you think is going on?
Oh my God, it's difficult to say. It's all speculation at this point. Even the U.S. military research facility at Picatinny Arsenal just admitted that the drones are not theirs. So that's added to the confusion even more. And I've said it before, I've tested a ton of drones over U.S. government installations in partnership with the military before. And that type of secrecy is just not normal for how we would conduct business. Even if we don't explain to the locals what exactly we're doing and testing drones and why, there would still be a lot of coordination of those flights at all levels of law enforcement. And if anything got out of hand, for example, public hysteria like this operation, we would shut it down immediately. But it's not stopping. And now we're even hearing more reports of drones flying over Philly now. But frankly, Dana, I don't even care at this point if it's some big U.S. government conspiracy or if this is in fact adversarial drones flying. I'm more concerned about the lack of transparency on behalf of our federal government and their inability to even want to alleviate the public's concerns at all. All they're saying is it's being investigated. That's unacceptable. And these local government officials, they need to stop saying there is no known threat unless they really know that. It's a disservice to the American people who are rightfully.
So, according to this guy, he's saying that, they may know about it and they don't want to divulge information to the American people. And it's like some people in the chat are saying that we've been using drones since 2008. But wait, you've been using drones for what? For spying on people, or for getting information, or for what? Sightseeing landscapes and oceans, and like, what are you using the drones for? That's the question. So if you see drones, potentially tens of drones flying around your home, your environment, around your community, like day 1, day 2, day 3, and your local government comes out and say, you know what, there's nothing wrong, it's just, drones flying around, you don't have to worry about it. At least tell the people, where we're testing a new whatever. We're testing a new gadget, we're testing the new equipment, and we're just trying to see how it works. do not worry about it. But when you say, you know what, don't worry about it, there's no threat. But why though? If you tell the people that you're testing out something, then it's like, okay, great. The government is doing their job. They're trying to protect us better. But it's like, you're not telling anybody anything. And then this, of course, you're giving it more air. The media is going to keep pumping more fuel to this fire. The more the government don't divulge information to the people. You have to be transparent with the people.
Concerned because I know firsthand the damage that drones can do. Even if the drones fly over a site for just a few minutes, do a bunch of flips and disappear in the middle of the night, the damage is already done. Most people don't know how much intelligence data can be collected with sensors that are attached to these drones just even in a short flight. But you know what's even more concerning is I'm realizing more and more that our law enforcement doesn't even know the rules of engagement for monitoring and downing rogue drones over the U.S. The average official couldn't tell you who's even in charge of that. You know, there's too many competing airspaces and different agency equities. And the FAA, frankly, they're in charge of the confusion. It's their issue. They've hamstrung our law enforcement agencies, our U.S. drone and counter drone community for years. I mean, look at what just happened recently with the Secret Service, for instance. They didn't even employ basic counter drone technology prior to the Trump assassination attempt, and that's one reason our president took a bullet. And if the Secret Service doesn't have the capability, you think New Jersey Police Department, State Patrol is going to have the proper systems in place to monitor this? So it's just we got to change.
And that's another one. During the Pennsylvania situation with the 47th president-elect, it's like you didn't even deploy drones to safeguard the potential winner of an election that would be for a sitting president of the United States. But now, how are you going to know whose drones these are if you cannot deploy drones to avoid wild situation from happening, which it did happen in Pennsylvania. That's why there was an attempt on the 47th. No drones were in the air, according to updates. Okay, there was no drones in the air, but now they're just drones randomly flying around New Jersey. Now they're saying they're in Pennsylvania. Okay, here we go.
Change the whole industry. Our infrastructure is not set up to be able to counter these emerging threats that we face now.
Yeah, excellent answer, Brett.
I'm sure that made my dad feel any better.
Probably not. Brett, you know about the story several months ago about Chinese operations flying over our military bases in certain parts of the country, especially on the East Coast, and then that word got out. I'm not saying this is what that is. Give a listen. Chad Pergram asking House Speaker Mike Johnson about something else. Watch.
We are concerned about drones and all these new technologies and what it might mean for national security and the safety of the American citizens. So I'm looking forward to the outcome of that hearing, and if we don't get the necessary answers there, we'll dig deeper and go to the classified level.
Any thought these might be dark programs?
I hope not. I don't believe so, but there's a lot of investigation going on, so we'll find out.
So go ahead and define a dark program and think about what's happening in Ukraine and think about what some people, even Elon Musk, talking about the future for warfare, should be unmanned and should be done by way of drone. It might be a pretty simple explanation that they're in the development phase and they're doing it in places like New Jersey.
It could be. I mean, dark programs essentially are, what we call red selling, where literally we're just testing our own infrastructure, our own national security. We might be flying drones over a military base to see how they may be able to stop that internally. But overseas, this is not a difficult thing to do. I can take a drone right now, fly it over to China, drop a bunch of drones from it, extend the range. You know, there's a lot of different communications like Starlink that's out there to be able to do this. This, to the drone community, this is very easy to do. This is not difficult. They don't have to be sitting in New Jersey flying these drones if we're speculating that this is a foreign adversary. We are even seeing the Ukrainians right now put drones on boats, launch them from boats in the ocean. And that's very interesting to me because that it extends the distance, and we're seeing people are talking about some of these sightings being right there on the coast. But overall, frankly, this is not an unsolvable problem. These drones are not undetectable. This is easy to figure out what's going on if the proper experts were brought in. And that's what upsets me the most. We have the technology to monitor, track, defeat this right now. Every single drone has a unique fingerprint. It's got a unique signature. It transmits some sort of signal, and those signals tell a story. And there are a ton of countermeasures out there put in place that we could use. You could layer tactical, strategic counter-drone radar systems. You can jam the frequencies of the drone. You can hijack a drone midair, take control of it. We have the ability even for drones to strike other drones now midair. We have directed energy systems that can fry a drone in the air. But we've got these archaic laws here in the U.S. where the FAA is constantly concerned about these systems affecting commercial airline communications. And I get that, but that's a very old school mentality. What's happening overseas right now is these foreign countries are light years ahead of U.S. drone technology. And we're set back 10 years behind China and Russia. So it's nothing for China or Russia to send a drone over our airspace very quickly and essentially poke holes in our national security infrastructure. And I think that's what we're seeing. We're seeing our military bases, our sensitive sites being probed. There's a gap right now in the administration, right, where there's this transition. So it's a perfect time to do something. And we just got to get a handle on it. And our infrastructure has got to have a complete overhaul to put money into this. And the FBI just said they only have $500,000 budget for counter drone technology. That's ridiculous. It costs like $200,000-$300,000 for one counter drone man portable system, and you need multiple systems.
Well, we'll see what comes of these two hearings today.
This is why the American people are always like sighing and looking and not trusting the people that are supposed to protect them. I mean, why would you say you have $500,000 for the budget for counter drone program or whatever that's called, but you can send $62 billion in munitions to Ukraine, and then you only have $500,000 for counter drone measures? That's not going to work. How would you actually make that happen? How is that going to happen? You have way too small of an amount to support whatever program you have going on. That's just too wild, man.
We have objects in the sky that are the size of an SUV over any city, over any state. It's an invasion of our airspace. In focus now, Republican Congressman Jeff Van Drew of New Jersey, member of the House Judiciary Committee on the Hill right now. How do you address this at this point?
Well, here's the real deal, Harris. You know, I'm also on the Transportation Committee, on the Aviation Subcommittee, and I've gotten to know people. And from very high sources, very qualified sources, very responsible sources, I'm going to tell you the real deal. Iran launched a mothership probably about a month ago that contains these drones. That mothership is off, I'm going to tell you the deal. It's off the east coast of the United States of America. They've launched drones. Is everything that we...
Oh, great. So now Iran launched a mothership to the east coast of the United States. And this is Iranian drones, according to this guy. So the mothership came into the east coast of the United States and then deployed all these drones. Great. Absolutely great.
Can see or hear, and again, these are from high sources. I don't say this lightly. Now, you know, we know there was a probability it could have been our own government. We know it's not our own government because they would have let us know. It could have been some really glorified hobbyist or hobbyists that were doing something unbelievable. They don't have the technology. But let's pretend that's possible. The third possibility was somebody, an adversarial country, doing this. Know that Iran made a deal with China to purchase drones, motherships, and technology in order to go forward. The sources I have are good. They can't reveal who they are because they are speaking to me in confidentiality. These drones should be shot down. Whether it was some crazy hobbyist that we can't imagine, or whether it is Iran, and I think it very possibly could be, they should be shot down. We are not getting the full deal, and the military is on alert with this.
Look, you've given us some pretty dire information just here, and I want to make sure that our viewers are digesting this. Iran has the capability to pull up along our eastern seaboard and launch drones the size of an SUV into the skies of several states, particularly New Jersey, where we know the incoming president has a large home, also in the same county or nearby where some of these drones in New Jersey have been seen. That capability exists. It's possible some of those drones are here. So I have two questions. How are they fueling them? They have to land somewhere. Drones don't fly forever. Why don't they close down the airspace? Yes, it's inconvenient. Yes, it's the holidays. Shut it down. But if you start shooting things and you don't know how they're fueled, that's going to be mass explosions. This isn't like one spy balloon. Congressman, this is serious.
We've got to bring them down, and we've got to find a way to bring them.
So you're saying these drones are Iranian drones, and they're being deployed from the mothership. So if you know that they are, I call them Iranian, but now they're saying Iranian, so let's just say Iranian. So they're Iranian drones, and Iran is not a friendly country to the United States. Everybody knows that. Even a newborn that was born in the United States knows that. So if you're saying these are Iranian drones, bro, like there should be a blanket in the air to just swallow them. Like the United States is the leading force on earth. There shouldn't be any type of like doubt that the people are safe. And now this guy is coming on national TV. Van Drew calls for drones over New Jersey to be shut down. So he knows these are Iranian drones being deployed from the mothership. Yet, nothing happens. Okay, here we go.
Down. I don't know exactly where they're landing. Obviously, I have some information. And again, this isn't just Jeff Van Drew. Oh, let's get on Harris Faulkner's show and say something outrageous. I'm telling you the straight deal from very high positioned individuals who are telling me this. And the bottom line is they're launching them. They are across the country. We don't even have anything like this.
No.
Our government and also certainly our hobbyists don't. So think about it.
Yo. This next 4 years is going to be so spicy that I just hope and pray and please, dear Lord, protect everybody, protect my family, protect everybody watching right now, because you just never goddamn know. You just don't know. Because if this can be happening, this is pre-Trump's inauguration day, okay? This Biden is still the president of the United States, okay? Trump isn't yet in the White House. He's just the 47th president-elect. Of course, people are already talking to him. Justin Trudeau, the Mexican president, President Xi, he's already trying to open a conversation channel with Vladimir Putin. Is acting like he is already president of the United States. However, Joe Biden is still the president of the United States until next year, January. But now, with all this looming around, these drones looming around, what should we be expecting this next year coming up, 2025? We already got all the mind-blowing, mind-bugging updates for 2024. We're thinking 2024 is the hardest year we've ever lived, with everything going helter-skelter. Now, 2025, these drones are flying around. What should we expect in 2025? What should we expect, people? Are they trying to sabotage the OGs, the 45th, now the 47th administration when he does get in? Because he's already going to be the president next year. So the next 4 years moving forward, what is going to happen? What types of situation are we going to experience? What should we expect, people? this ain't good. That's all I'm gonna say. This ain't good. Because Trump is not even the president yet. You already have a test run going on. Wow. This next 4 years, guys, we better pray. That's all I'm going to tell y'all. We better pray, because y'all can say this is just propaganda. But you better pray. You better pray it's just a show. Because if it's not,
not only do I have the information, but it's also common sense. We've got to get them down. We've got to determine how they function, what they do, make sure that we can get them, and you're right, in a safe way. When I say shoot them down, get them down any way that you can, but right now they're probably extracting information. This is a clear and present danger to the United States and to our president-elect, and it's a serious business.
Well, and if one of them happens to fall, and they're fueled, that explosion could kill people. I have to let you go, Congressman, but I'm so grateful for your time today.
I'm Steve Deuce. I mean, that was a congressman. That was a congressman. So he definitely has more information than a regular guy on the street. Van Drew, a congressman, saying these are Iranian drones deployed from the mothership. It ain't me saying it. These are his words. Shout out to YouTube. It ain't me saying it. These were his words. Van Drew. Wow.
Guys, it's been nearly a month since large unidentified drones started being spotted all across New Jersey. But even after all this time, we have zero answers about where they're coming from and who's flying them. The United States spends billions of your money on military and intelligence programs every year. So tell me, why do the FBI and the White House have zero clue where these drones are coming from?
Is public safety at risk?
That's not even acceptable. You can never tell me you do not know where these drones are coming from. Van Drew just said they're coming from the Iranian mothership deployed to the eastern part of the United States, which, of course, the eastern part, New York, New Jersey, we know the eastern part. But think about it. These people are saying they don't know where the drones are coming from. Bro, you are the highest power. The United States is the highest power in this world. Now, we're not talking about the universe, God, of course not. I'm saying on Earth, like countries to country. Everybody knows the United States is like the strongest in the world on Earth. So why would you say you do not know where these drones are coming from? And it ain't even like the FBI and the White House, they provide no answers on the New Jersey drone mystery. What is going on?
Are we concerned that there are nefarious intentions that could cause either national security or a public safety incident that would put Americans at risk?
There's nothing that is known that would lead me to say that, but we just don't know, and that's the concerning part.
You're telling me we don't know what the hell these drones are in New Jersey are? Is that correct?
That's right.
It's crazy. I mean, that's crazy. That's madness that we don't know what these drones are.
Has the federal government ruled out that these are controlled by foreign entities? Yeah. And do you know if they're conducting surveillance over these areas?
So I cannot make any kind of predictions or comments about that specifically from here.
I mean, and the New Jersey governor, Phil Murphy, says he doesn't know either.
What can you tell us? What is going on, and why is it taking so long to come up with an explanation?
Yeah, it's a good. I don't blame people for being frustrated. It's really frustrating that we don't have more answers as to where they're coming from and why they're doing what they're doing.
Rebecca, break everything down for us, and who needs to be the watchdog for this right now?
Well, this is incredibly frustrating because we have known that this country's very vulnerable to spy balloons, to drones, to missile strikes for a long time.
I mean, it's terrifying to hear. You're on national TV saying who knows who is in the world in different part of the planet, okay, different part of the world on Earth, right? Listening to you saying this country, we know the United States is vulnerable to spy balloons, to drones. So you're telling the world that you are vulnerable to spy balloons and drones. You're literally telling the world on national TV. Just like the guy who said on national TV that if China comes over to the United States and does some stupid thing, it's like, are we sure the United States can actually retaliate back properly? It's like, you're saying it on national TV.
Long time. So we've been beating this drum. Congress has been beating this drum for a long time. Fundamentally, I think that the problem here is that nobody at the very top of government is saying you are in charge. It's your job to fix this, because you have Northern Command, that's the military component, and then you have Department of Homeland Security, and then you have the FAA, which does all of the regulations that has to make decisions about who needs to do what. And of course, the Northern Command believes that they have the authority to protect military bases. But what about critical infrastructure? What about the rest of the American people who are looking up at these massive UASs? You know, I can't speak directly with knowledge about this particular incident, but I would speculate from an informed perspective that actually the government probably does have an idea about who is doing this. But if they say who is doing it, that will require them to have a response. And they are not prepared with a response, which is why we continue to get the answer that we don't know. But they seem too big to be hobbyists. They do seem to be coming from a foreign power.
Right. Okay. So you mentioned Congress. And Harris, last hour, you had Congressman Jeff Van Drew on, which revealed this about the drones. Let's watch.
Iran launched a mothership probably about a month ago that contains these drones. That mothership is off, I'm going to tell you the deal. It's off the east coast of the United States of America. They've launched drones, is everything that we can see.
My thing is, if you're saying that the mothership is off the east coast, why is there still a mothership existing? Why is there still a mothership existing if you know exactly where it's located at?
You're here, and again, these are from high sources. I don't say this lightly.
From high sources, Emily. I mean, I was silent listening to him. He's followed up with the time to act on this information is now before threat escalates any further. These drones are intentionally flying into uncontrolled airspaces. We should have already taken action by imposing flight restrictions to regain our control. We're behind other countries on our drone technology, so on and so forth. This is what I learned from Van Drew and what I'm learning from military experts that I'm reaching out to just since, you know, this story broke a little while ago. I am curious at this point why they have not shut down. Where is Pete Buttigieg? Where is the transportation secretary? By the way, Van Drew sits on the Committee of Transportation in the House, also Subcommittee of Aviation. These things come together. That's why he's so vocal. So he and others, along with mayors in New Jersey, and you can see them from New York and other states at this point, each one about the size of an SUV. A drone. Okay, so they're all supposed to get together.
Nah, man, that ain't gonna work. A drone is size of an SUV? What? Like a drone is size of an SUV? Do you know how big an SUV is? This ain't a regular film drone or a aerial drone sightseeing landscapes and beauty spots, okay? This is a drone as big as an SUV. Oh, dear Lord Jesus. What is going to happen in the next 4 years, Lord? You would think everything is going to be rosy until BS falls. And it's like, oh, shoot. I never thought this could happen. Like, you would think nothing can happen until something actually happens. You know, you always think you're healthy until, boom. Until you go see the doctor and they give you the news. That's how it is. You think everything is Gucci until something happens. I just hope nothing happens.
Curious at this point why they have not shut down. Where is Pete Buttigieg? Where is the transportation secretary? By the way, Van Drew sits on the Committee of Transportation in the House, also Subcommittee of Aviation. These things come together. That's why he's so vocal. So he and others, along with mayors in New Jersey, and you can see them from New York and other states at this point, each one about the size of an SUV. A drone. Okay. So they're all supposed to get together about 45 minutes ago. Governor Phil Murphy was supposed to be at the heart of this. What are we going to do? He did not show. He was a no-show today.
Of
that
course.
video we ran was from Monday.
Of
this
course.
started a month ago. We need to know what's in the skies above. Shut down the skies. I know it's a pain. I know it's Newark International and New York airspace and everything else. If one of those things hits the ground, either directed to or drops, and it has fuel or a battery.
You know, this is how it all starts, okay? Zyro says, I'm taking the scenic route today. Look, this is how it all starts, okay, everybody? The media is going to start talking about it. And then all of a sudden, you hear, well, breaking. There's been new, and then everybody going to be like, oh, snap. That's why people are going to want to panic. This is something I've learned from my time living in the United States. Americans don't panic when it's time to panic. They panic when the deed has been done. You're supposed to be panicking before it happens to you. You need to be panicking. But nope, Americans don't panic. Americans live a jolly life. You know, they go to the corner store, get some pack of beer, and have a good time. And, you know, roll up, smoke one, and have a good time. Nobody cares. And then when she hit the fan, everybody start, oh, shoo. Okay.
Battery capability that would fly something that big. It weighs thousands of pounds in that case, or its payload is fuel. It will explode. You could kill people. There are too many of them to take out in one location right now. Van Drew says we should be shooting them out of the sky. I pushed back. You got to get them back into the ocean. I mean, this is unbelievable.
And let's show, Kaylee, we can pop up just how extensive this problem is. We're going to put up a map and show you. Look at that. This is not one drone. People think drones might be small. As Harris says, it's the size of an SUV. A lot of people are saying, I'm going to shoot it down from my backyard. This problem is so much beyond. The risks here are so acute. Where is our commander-in-chief?
Well, let me give you the generous
Man, you ain't got
interpretation
no
and not so generous.
commander-in-chief.
The generous
You knew that.
interpretation is this is a special access program. That would be a highly classified program where we test our own drones. And it would be so secretive that only maybe a half dozen to a dozen United States officials are read in. That could be. And the White House would not tell you about that. We don't deserve to know that information. It's secret for a reason. That could be the case. But number two, do I have that kind of faith in the administration when, to your point, Rebecca, a Chinese spy balloon surveilled the United States? It was noticed on January of...
Did she just say we don't deserve to know that information? Look, Kellyanne, I got respect for you, but I don't know what you're talking about. We don't deserve to know that information now.
Would be a highly classified program where we test our own drones. And it would be so secretive that only maybe a half dozen to a dozen United States officials are read in. That could be. And the White House would not tell you about that. We don't deserve to know that information. It's secret for a reason. That could be the case. But number two, do I have that kind of faith in the administration when, to your point, Rebecca, a Chinese spy balloon surveilled the United States? It was noticed on January of 28th of 2023 by the Pentagon. The White House wasn't read in until January 31st, a full 3 days later, and as the Chinese were collecting information across the United States. If this were the Trump administration, I'd have confidence. Yeah, this is a special access program. Now we'll ask questions because of the track record of 4 years.
Yeah, that's the reality, that until January 20th, likely our enemies are trying to do all they can now while they know they can get away with it.
I put this all together and say this. I wrote a book on fear, and I think this kind of messaging scares people. We don't know. We don't have any answers. We can't tell you. If it was top secret, you could say this is top secret. We can't tell you. People would have confidence. What we feel is there's nobody at the switch. And by the way, this is connected all across to...
Exactly. Nobody's coming out to say this is top secret. This is some type of no equipment we're trying out. Americans, be rest assured we got you. Our responsibility is to safeguard the people. Easy. That would have been easy. But no, nobody comes out to say anything. And then, of course, people are going to be worried and saying, these is like, because it's not flying over your home, that's why you can be chilling. You probably live in Tennessee or Georgia or North Carolina, South Carolina, and everything is good. People in New Jersey, people in New York are wondering, what? Oh, you mean to tell me there's a mothership sent by the Iranian government or military, and there are in the East Coast, eastern part of the United States. Oh, because that's the eastern part. New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia, like Pennsylvania, that's the eastern part. So they will definitely be worried.
Our other issues, our borders. People are leaking in across our borders. People have drones offshore. There were spy balloons. We have a sense now in the United States that we're not safe. Luckily, a new marshal coming to town.
Harris, I wonder to your point, as you broke the news, Governor Phil Murphy wasn't in attendance.
Yeah.
Was he on the phone with the president, I hope? That would be the only acceptable excuse.
And where is the missing Iranian mothership carrying drones that left, correlating with the time that Van Drew said that those things arrived in our airspace? Like, how do you lose a missing Iranian mothership loaded with drones? Like, it's a lot. I hope it's what you say.
But who knows?
I hope it's a big governmental secret that won't harm us.
I doubt it.
Who knows?
Even the media going back and forth. Faulkner is saying something. Kellyanne is saying something else. I feel like some people do know what this is, and it's like, you know what? One thing I do know is this is just my opinion and my speculation. Shout out to YouTube one more time. This isn't the truth. Okay, this is just speculations and opinion. There is nothing that happens in the United States that the government does not know anything about. This is just my opinion. The government knows and allows these things to happen. If the government allows it to happen, then they know. The government knows, bro. There's no surprise. Oh, we were surprised. Nah, you cannot surprise the government of the United States. They know. Okay? United States is never surprised by nothing. And it's just my opinion. It's not truth. I truly believe in my heart, this is my opinion one more time, shout out to YouTube, that the United States knows every single thing that happens on its soil. The government knows everything that happens and takes place on its soil. This is my opinion. All right.
While the final days of a presidency are typically reserved for political pardons, President Biden's pardon of his son Hunter ignited a debate over what the president is exactly doing with his pardon power. As of now, Biden has granted fewer pardons than Trump or Obama. Many civil rights activists and faith leaders, and now even those within his own party, feel Biden has fallen way short on his 2020 campaign promise to reform the criminal justice system, and they urge the president to use his clemency power during these final days in office. Sources tell me that a group of Democratic House and Senate members are pushing the president to step away from only looking to pardon people he knows or people he's related to. Some of those members include Senator Dick Durbin, Senator Cory Booker, Senator Raphael Warnock, Congressman Jim Clyburn, and Congressman Stephen Horsford, who's a chairman of the Congressional Black Caucus. They're asking Biden to consider granting clemency to those who receive stacked sentences. Before the First Step Act went into effect during the Trump administration, the First Step Act eliminated the practice of stacking sentences to give the harshest penalties possible if somebody has a firearm. One example of someone who fell into stacked sentences is Weldon Angelos. He was sentenced to 55 years in prison for 3 small marijuana sales as a first-time nonviolent offender, 55 years, because he possessed a gun, so his sentences were stacked. Weldon Angelos is out of prison now. He was pardoned by Trump. Republican Senator Mike Lee of Utah was the one who brought a lot of attention to Mr. Angelos and the practice of stacking. Another category of individuals Democratic lawmakers want considered pardoned are those who are serving out the remainder of their sentences in home confinement under the CARES Act. The CARES Act moved low and minimum security, low-risk reoffenders to home confinement during COVID to finish their sentences. And finally, lawmakers are urging Biden to grant clemency to those who would have benefited from the passage of the Equal Act that would eliminate the sentencing disparities for crack cocaine and powder cocaine. Those sentences have for a long time been viewed as entirely discriminatory because the sentences for crack cocaine possession were 18 times longer than those for powder cocaine and disproportionately harmed black and brown communities. Now the Justice Department changed its charging policy in 2022, but those convicted before that change continue to serve longer sentences. There is also a push to take all 40 individuals off of federal death row, giving them instead life in prison. So far, a number of Democrats involved in this process feel, however, that the White House is not listening to any of these requests.
And this is why I would always respect the OG, the 45th and now the 47th president-elect, Trump. He signed into law the First Step Act, which was what? Prison reform. And that really helped a lot of people. And when people say, well, what did Trump do for the people? What did Trump do for African Americans or Hispanics, Latinos, or like, it's like, bro, everybody, every community, every ethnicity are in some way, shape, or form incarcerated right now. And that guy that people are saying is racist, is this, is that, have actually helped people. He signed into law the First Step Act and helped a lot of people, all types of people. This is in racial politics right now. This is just facts. This man saved a lot of people, pardoned a lot of people, and still people are going to say he didn't do anything. Trump didn't do anything. There is no way. Tell me one thing Trump did. Well, even if he only did First Step Act prison reform, which of course he did more than that, but that changed a lot of people's lives. Even Van Jones of CNN said he was so happy and glad Trump signed it because Obama didn't sign it. Man, shout out to the OG, man. That's all I'm going to say.
Here's the White House says Biden will have more to announce on pardons and commutations before he leaves office. But these Democratic lawmakers, as I understand it, are rather frustrated, as are some individuals at the Justice Department, Mr. Biden's own Justice Department. And just imagine, by the way, if the president had announced he was pardoning all of these people and also Hunter. Something to think about. Let's jump in with our panel. Maria Cardona, so you aggressively nodding during that entire tell. I assume you agree that some clemency, some mercy, some forgiveness from the president for some of these nonviolent offenders is in order.
Absolutely, and I've spoken to some of the offices of the senators that you just mentioned, and some House members too. Hakeem Jeffries has also been very vocal about how he hopes President Biden will do this before he leaves. There are so many individuals, all the ones that you mentioned and others, that have been so aggressively gone after by the Justice Department for very low nonviolent offenses. And like you said, overwhelmingly and disproportionately from Black and brown communities. And as somebody who campaigned on criminal justice reform and on equality and on sort of bringing that kind of fairness to the justice system, I think President Biden can make a mark on this. His time is running out, but he has until January 19th to do this. So my hope is in this next wave of pardons that you mentioned the White House talked about, many of these people and many of these categories will be included.
What would have been reaction, do you think? I know I love to bring people to earth too for a second, but if the Hunter Biden pardon had been in the midst or at the end of, hey, I'm taking a look and showing mercy to these thousands of other people, and here are the reasons why I'm doing it, because the Stack Act, which, you know, the stacking removal, which Republicans were in favor of too, and this and that. And also, while I'm doing this for these people I've never met, I'm also going to show some mercy to Hunter.
I think it would have been a couple different things. I think you obviously would still have had a huge outcry, and the argument would have been you're trying to kind of slip the Hunter through and say maybe, I don't know, 40 or 50 other people. And I think also, again, the other big argument on Hunter was that you were pardoning him for crimes he wasn't even technically convicted of, right? Sure. Over a longer period of time. I think on the other things, I think Maria's point, I think you could see some Republican support of some of these. I think taking folks off death row and giving them life sentences, I think that would probably be a non-starter from a lot of Republicans. I think you'd probably see that. And look, you know, certainly Biden hasn't been shy about doing pardons over the last couple of weeks. There could be more. I mean, we've talked about preemptive pardons from the Biden administration for some of the folks. So who knows if maybe you do see folks mixed in with some of these other pardons as well.
Just something to think about. These Democrats are pushing those. I thought it was interesting, and I hadn't heard it. Steph, welcome to the lead. Good to have you here. I want to change subjects, turn to your reporting along with Mike Allen. You write that Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the controversial pick of President-elect Trump to head the Department of Health and Human Services, is using his influence to push a different agenda, placing his daughter-in-law for a top job at the CIA. And the reason, he says, is he wants proof that the CIA killed his uncle, John F. Kennedy. I don't even know what to say. Explain what you uncovered.
Well, we know that RFK Jr. has publicly said that he believes that the CIA was involved in the assassination of President Kennedy, and he also suggests that the CIA was involved in the death of his father as well. And this has actually come up in some of the phone calls he's been making to push for his daughter-in-law to get the deputy director position at the CIA. He sees it as part of the pitch that she's going to get to the bottom of this. We had 2 sources tell us that this has been coming up, and it is a real reason for why he's pushing her for this role. And you know, it's interesting because it gives us a good example of why maybe RFK Jr. and Trump get along so well. They both feel like they are victims of this kind of deep state in the federal government, and they're going to do what they can to go after that. And it's just another example of how this is really going to be a Trump revenge presidency in a lot of ways.
So, and we should note, Fox Kennedy was the campaign manager for RFK Jr.'s run for the White House, and she had worked at the CIA previously. She wrote a book about it, Life Undercover. But that doesn't mean she's qualified to be deputy director, is she?
I mean, there are certainly already concerns among Republicans. I heard from 4 different Senate Republican sources just this morning who are saying that a clip of her essentially asking for more nuance in how we talk about ISIS, that was making the rounds already, that people were concerned about that Republicans are already raising their eyebrows about her qualifications, some of the statements she's made, and feeling like this could be a risky pick if this does move forward. Of course, we're not sure exactly how the president-elect feels about her as an option, but we know that RFK Jr. has a lot of sway with Trump. Trump wants to keep RFK Jr. happy. He sees RFK Jr. as kind of this emblem of his broadened MAGA base, and that he wants him to be promoting Trump ongoing, and so he's going to try to make him happy.
Speaking of promoting family members, I want to note that Trump is making Jared Kushner's father, whom he pardoned last time, he's offering him the job of ambassador to France. He named his other daughter, Tiffany's father-in-law, a different father-in-law, but different daughter, a senior advisor for Arab and Middle Eastern affairs. He's been clearing the deck to have his daughter-in-law, Laura Trump, Eric's wife, to fill Rubio's Florida Senate seat. And just today, Donald Trump Jr.'s former fiancée, Kimberly Guilfoyle, is being nominated to be ambassador to Greece. That's quite a family jobs program.
Quite a family jobs. Look, I think it's a little different. I don't really get outraged at ambassadorships in the same way I would, say, a CIA thing. I mean, like, for example, the current Greek ambassador was rejected when he was nominated to be ambassador of Norway because he actually had never been to Norway and didn't even know the system of government there under President Obama. A previous French ambassador was former CEO of the Muppets. These things are political jobs and usually political appointees. They usually go to the friends of the president or fundraisers of it. I can't really get that outrage about ambassadorships going to family members or close friends.
The U.S. government's becoming a Trump family business, but do we really are we really that surprised that this is something that he's doing? I mean, we knew that this was something that he wanted to do, that this is sort of his MO, that this is kind of something that he didn't necessarily campaign on it, but this is who he is. And so I think moving forward, this is going to be an indication that he's not there to really appoint the best people for the job. He's not there to appoint people who are going to focus on getting the job of the American people done. He's focused on getting whatever it is that he wants done.
I remember when I covered the Obama administration, I did a lot of
that
coverage
was embarrassing,
of the ridiculous ambassador nominees, in amongst qualified people. But it was some pretty crazy stuff. Thanks one and all for being here.
Thanks.
Okay, yeah, I'm back. I had to be a father, bro. Let's go. Full-time daddy. It's a lot of work. All right, here we go. Daniel Penny.
The guilt I would have felt if someone did get hurt, if he did do what he was threatening to do, would never be able to live with myself. And I'll take 1 million court appearances and people calling me names and people hating to keep one of those people from getting hurt or killed.
Daniel Penny speaking exclusively to Fox for the first time since being cleared of all charges.
I have to go make... All right, y'all. I have to go make dinner for my daughter. And I'll be right back. Just give me like, 5-10 minutes. I'm going to be back. Hopefully before this video gets to an end. We're going to talk about Daniel Penny too. I already have my, belief about Daniel Penny. He did what he had to do. But let me know what you guys think you can hear her. She's smiling and laughing. Let me know what you guys think in the comment. Let's get it.
This, as his defense team tells us, they're considering filing their own lawsuit for malicious persecution. Good for them.
Yeah, no kidding. Let's talk to Daniel Penny's attorney. Stephen Razor joins us right now. Stephen, congratulations. Good morning to you.
Thank you so much. Good morning to you as well.
So we saw you yesterday. We were running the video of you and Danny and another attorney at the Stone Street Tavern after his acquittal. I know you've got the attorney-client privilege, but tell us what you guys were talking about. I mean, is there one thing that he said to you that you thought, wow, that's cool?
Well, the relief he felt, and that other attorney, by the way, is Thomas Kniff, partner Razor and Kniff. And, Danny, for us, it became more than just a case, right? So we're trying to take care of Danny and make sure that he's treated fairly in a system that was geared to prosecute him maliciously in a manner in which was not supported by the evidence, and there was other motivations at play here. So Danny's saying that he's relieved. That was the best thing that I could ever hear because the amount of stress that he's been under for the past year and a half has been tremendous.
Stephen, you're correct. It was a malicious prosecution. But I got to ask you about this lawsuit that y'all may go against him with, because at one point, when they tried to get some consolation charge against Daniel, the jury struck it down. But the judge agreed with you that it wasn't really the right process to go by, but still allowed it to happen.
Yeah, well, he did. I mean, he actually made sure it happened. So for whatever reason, so I can't get into the mind of the judge, right? But what I do know is that it was based on the application of the district attorney's office. And just like Danny said in his interview, it was like they wanted to try and get him on something. They knew they weren't going to be able to get him, so they had to get rid of that top count in order to get to that second count, just in the hopes that maybe they could pull out a win here. And they were unsuccessful, thank God.
Yeah, I think the difficult thing for me, I think about his family. I'm a mom. I think about his mom, his sisters. So this happens. He's acquitted. He's free. But now there's other lawsuits. The one from Jordan Neely's father, who suddenly appeared out of the woodwork. But you're now contemplating this malicious prosecution. How does this work? Who exactly are you going? Is this against Alvin Bragg? Who does this actually go against?
Well, it goes against Alvin Bragg for the way in which he handled this case and the ethical lines that were blurred. Yeah, I mean, the medical examiner's office, Chief Graham, for his involvement in this case. I mean, the record was made fairly clear as to the extent of his involvement in what occurred here. He was appointed by Mayor Adams, same political party as Alvin Bragg. There was collusion there. And I mean, the collusion began from the very beginning of this case and all the way through. The district attorney needed the medical examiner and needed the medical examiner to act quickly, and he did just that.
So, first off, how concerned were you after Donald Trump got convicted by this New York jury in a case that no one thought had validity to, including a lot of Democrats?
What were you thinking, knowing that you had a case coming up right after that?
Yeah, so that's it's a great point, because to be honest with you, it was scary. And for us, from a defense perspective, we honed in on the most important part of the case was going to be jury selection, because that was going to be the biggest challenge, is to get a fair jury. And from everything that we did and all the steps we took and the advisors that we put in place, it worked out. It really did, but it was close and it was difficult. So that was where the key battle was waged.
But Counselor, people look at you as a criminal defense attorney, but you were in the prosecutor's office before this. How do you feel about the system being the way it is? I mean, when you were a prosecutor, this is not the type of stuff y'all went after. They are allowing the criminals to roam the street, and the civilians that protect the citizens are now the criminals. How do you feel about this system?
Well, that's just it. I mean, and there was some highlights that were put out there quite extensively in regards to this office's practice in not prosecuting crime, and some very serious cases too, talking about restorative justice and such, which, by the way, in some circumstances, that's a great thing, and it can be, but some brutal cases of an individual who attacked an 80-year-old man, mugging him and punching him and ultimately killing him. And yet you're going to go after full-throated against my client, who you admit did a laudable thing and is a fine young man. Despicable.
Sure,
it's despicable.
Stephen, in talking about how a couple of moments ago, in talking about how you may file these lawsuits against Alvin Bragg, medical examiner, you had said there were motivations involved. What were the motivations that those offices did that would, in your estimation, break the law?
Well, listen, it's not necessarily even about breaking the law. It's blurring ethical boundaries and failing to act in the manner in which you are expected because of your office. But the bottom line is a lot of this came out at trial, too. And it was clear that there was a fear that if an arrest wasn't made and made very quickly, that there might be rioting in the streets, and that may ultimately look very bad for District Attorney Alvin Bragg. And if that, in fact, happened, that could affect his reelection. Now, let's keep in mind, we know this is a Democrat stronghold, right? But don't forget, Alvin Bragg has the consideration of the primary. So if he doesn't keep his base happy, he could get primaried, and that's where he's vulnerable.
He should be. Real quick, Danny Penny, the person that you started to represent a year and a half ago, and the Danny Penny now, who's been screamed at, been called a murderer. You could hear the chants in the courtroom every day. How has he changed? Well,
look, he's scarred from this, okay? I mean, it's great. We had a great resolution. But as you know, there's already a lawsuit filed against him. And the timing of it is somewhat suspect as far as the coordination between the district attorney's office and the family attorneys. So Danny will be forever changed. He will always have that fear, because they wanted to instill fear, right? So a heightened alertness, let's say, right? So Danny's a strong guy, and he's going to continue with his life. He's going to pursue his degree, and he's going to have a great career. But he'll be forever changed, and unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about that other than to pursue these causes of action, defend them against any slanderous attempts to hurt him in the future.
Well, you won for him, and you worked so hard. It was extremely personal for you and your partner to get him this victory and defend him.
Shout out to everybody watching the live stream. You know what time it is. It is your boy, Genesis. Thank you for sticking around. Thank you for liking. Thank you for double tapping your screen for that like. And thank you for being here and subscribing. Thank you so much. Okay, so concerning Danielle Penny. Everybody has their own opinion, and I know you guys, I'm seeing different types of opinion in here. Our Bad O says Danielle Penny was done wrong. Zyra says, like, built-in jammers. That's interesting. Like, everybody has their own opinion, okay? I already said mine. I'm not going down that path with y'all tonight. All right, let's go. United Healthcare update.
I don't view it as a Democrat comment. First of all, it's good to be with you.
Oh, yes, it's good to have you back around the table.
It is, and good to see Joy. I separate the two. So first off, there is no place or space in a civilized society for people to work out political or policy or for that matter, a commercial difference, which we still don't know everything about this suspect and what might have motivated or have driven him to do what he did. Some think there might have been some bill that he couldn't pay. Whatever the case, commercial, political policy, there's no place or space for violence. And I thought Governor Josh Shapiro said it best. It is sickening to listen to people who seem to be so divorced in the fact that this was a human being who had kids, who had a wife, who is a son, as a father, who was killed. And people are making light of it. I don't have no problem making, we joke around this table a lot, but there's spaces where you don't joke and you're not light about things, and that's one of them. Separate that from what Elizabeth Warren said. I think two conversations can happen at once, even if one is a very, very sad and tragic one. The idea and the notion and the reality of what people are paying for things, we talk a lot about it around the table, not in the context of people being shot or people being killed, but there's no doubt that drug costs and health costs are high for people. So I think you can have the two conversations. I'm glad she clarified. I think she clarified what she said, because one could certainly maybe draw some sort of comparison or suggest that maybe she was being sympathetic to people who might want to engage in violence. I don't think she was that. I don't agree with her politics. I've said things about her to disagree with her. So I give her the benefit of the doubt there. But what I don't give the benefit of the doubt on anyone who is joking about being sympathetic to a guy who killed a guy 4 blocks from here because they spotted he was going to a conference. I think we learned something today that the kid said he was going to count the beans there, so we might as well get him there. There's no sympathy for anybody in that regard. We need to learn what happened, and he needs to be punished. The judge told me, I asked her and President Trump to get to getting the death penalty here in New York. Maybe she hadn't gotten it done yet. But I hope that if he's prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law here in New York, I hope whatever the fullest penalty we can give him, a judge, that's what we give him, because he deserves it. He's earned it.
It won't happen. The Democrats are in charge in New York.
Well, let me just say, when you were there, you were Republican. You didn't get it done either.
No, no, you're wrong. The Republicans
the Democrats reversed it?
No. The Republicans got it done. Okay, and then the Supreme Court reversed it. Gotta be careful.
Oh God! He said, "Well, you're Republicans, and you didn't get it done either."
Give him a judge. That's what we give him, because he deserves it. He's earned it.
It won't happen. The Democrats are in charge in New York.
Well, let me just say, when you were there, you were Republican. You didn't get it done either.
No, no, you're wrong. The Republicans
the Democrats reversed it?
No. The Republicans got it done. Okay, and then the Supreme Court reversed it. Gotta be careful.
Right. You gotta be careful.
Why don't you continue, Judge?
Be careful.
And maybe if you want to comment on the law and extradition, or
I want to
fact
comment on a couple of things. Number one, when I was a judge and I would be sentencing someone to state's prison, the girlfriends would come in, knowing I'm giving the guy 25 years to life, and I'd marry them right after the sentencing, so that they could, be together, whatever, for conjugal visits. I don't know what it is. Women love bad boys. They always have. They want to nurture them. They want to be able to, be with them. I think anyone who is enamored with this guy has a screw loose in her head. That's number one. Number two, as the evidence adds up, and it appears that this man is the killer, and, once he's extradited to New York, he'll be indicted. When someone says violence is wrong, but,
right.
I want you to think of the word but. Whenever anybody says but, that means they really are not serious about what they said before the word but. And so you can only push people so far. Nobody pushed anybody so far. This is nothing that you can attribute to an individual who is a corporate executive. And when we start blaming people and calling them names and making them deserving of death, an imminent death sentence, it shows that we are degrading as a society. Now, people told us to watch our language. We couldn't say illegal alien, although it's still in all the federal statutes. We had to say the pronouns. But these people want to say, you know what, this kid is a good kid. I love his abs. It's, it's kind of, he killed someone, but you kind of get it, I want to know, where are the community notes? Where are the strikes and the red flags, okay, on people who are communicating on social media? Mm. And that's all.
It's a good point. I think that the idea that Joey, he came from a pretty privileged background.
Yeah.
Brian Thompson did not.
He's the one who came from the
that's
working
the
class
irony,
background
isn't
that worked.
it?
And by all accounts, he was actually trying to make some changes in the industry. Now, I also don't think that there's a lot of evidence. I don't think he had this health care. I don't know if he was denied a claim. There's still a lot of things that we don't know.
Yeah, I think there's two conversations happening at once, and it's really malpractice for these figures in the media to bring them together, even if stupid people on TikTok are. This is a deranged person who went after someone in the public eye because he could, and he killed him in the most cowardice way possible. Granted that this is the person that did it, and it looks like it is. And he should absolutely be made an example of. He should be put in prison for the rest of his life if the death penalty isn't there. He really should absolutely be made an example of, because we have this really crazy thing in this country called freedom and freedom of movement, and just about any celebrity or public figure is a vulnerable and weak target. That's just the truth of it. And for that reason alone, he should be made an example of. There's this other conversation that's come up from it where people, and I do think that Harold's right about this, and I don't know if it was your point exactly, but I guess the larger point is there's a big part of that Trump coalition, even because you said it wasn't a Democrat issue. There's a big part of that RFK Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard group of people, Bernie bros that Trump brought in, that are just as skeptical of big business as they are big government. And so I think there are people that watch this channel that are very angry and frustrated with insurance companies. And that's why it's indicative on us to point out, okay, that makes sense. You've got someone in office that can fix it. Going and doing this, that ain't it. That's not it in any way, shape, or form. And for those news organizations and media figures to make light of it in any way, it's absolutely reprehensible.
That's word to you, Jesse.
I just don't think the guy's that good looking.
I don't either. His eyebrows are horrible.
I took a poll of my staff, the females today, and they said he was average. But what's attractive about him is the vigilantism. And Janine touched on it. I touched on it. Women like the bad boy. Now, I don't know anything about women, so I had to call a few women to find out why, but they want to save the bad guy. Maybe Dana's dated guys like this. Maybe Peter's a bad guy. We don't know. But if you see damaged goods, women think that they can reform him and they can make him better. If only they could get their hands on him and he'll be all right. Now,
I am definitely not like that. I do not. No, you better take care of yourself. I want nothing to do with that.
All right, so Dana doesn't like the bad boys. More for you, Judge. So there's also another part of this too, because
the judge is
looking
like,
the guy
okay,
had a mission, that the guy stood for something. Because in this society, all these guys walking around, they don't care about anything. This guy stood for something in a social justice crusader kind of way. And for many women, that's attractive. And I don't understand it. I think that's pretty clear.
Wait, come on, Jesse. If that were true, I would say that most women would say Daniel Penny. In this case, in this scenario, if you're talking about being principled and standing up for someone, then Daniel Penny is the attractive one.
You don't think Daniel Penny's getting panties thrown at him every time he goes to the subway?
You better get to this.
I didn't know.
You don't think Daniel Penny
he's going on the subway?
the pick of the litter?
Jesse, I'm not sure you know what you're talking about. Let's start right
Well,
there.
you started it, though. You said that women like the bad boys. I know more about women than everybody at this table.
Let me tell you something.
Yo, this dog right here, bro. This boy right here, bro. This is national TV, guys. This is straight up national TV. I'm telling you. Oh.
There are women who want to make bad boys into good boys.
Yes.
There's no question about it. But there's no group that's out there that is joined together saying, let's go after the insurance company. Are there? I haven't heard about them.
There's a female political faction.
Is there? Am I wrong about that?
It's on the left, Harold. I'm sorry, but we have to just address
Joey
it.
just talked about this being a bipartisan. They're Trump support. People just don't want to pay more. We should get to the thing here before somebody gets in trouble.
All right.
Whew. Let me tell y'all something, man. Let me tell y'all something. Everybody has their own opinion concerning Daniel Penny. Some people say he deserved the Congressional Golden Medal. Some people say total BS. He's not a hero. Some people think he's a hero. Some people think this guy that put down the United Healthcare CEO. Some people say he's a hero. Can you imagine? Some people say he's not. Some people say he deserves a medal. Some people say if he goes to court and there's like a jury of his peers, he's going to walk. Like, everybody has their own opinion, okay? But bad is bad, no matter who does it. And your motive for doing bad, you could do bad things for the good reasons. You could do bad things for the right reason, but that doesn't mean it's not bad. Even if you did a bad thing because you think you're doing it for the right reasons, it's still a bad thing you did. But a lot of people support this guy, man. A lot of people support Luigi Mangione. A lot of people support Daniel Penny. A lot of people don't support Daniel Penny. A lot of people don't support Luigi Mangione. So he's coming up, guys.
One of the sort of unexpected outcomes of this murder, a huge outpouring of praise and adoration on social media for the suspected killer. The killing has...
And the fact is, Luigi Mangione actually came from a respected family, a well-to-do family. People are saying, like, his family is actually a wealthy family. That's what people are saying. Like, this guy's family is Gucci. They have senior health living spaces around his community, and it's like, why would he do this? But he's also been complaining about back pain. He had a surgery on his back or something like that, but his family is well to do, so I don't think he is a victim of insurance company or insurance claims, and he was denied because his family is well to do, according to the news. Let's go.
Unleashed a flood of stories filled with frustration and anger about insurance companies and denied medical complaints. Joining me now is former health insurance company executive Wendell Potter. First of all, when you look at what's happened online, were you in any way surprised at the amount of frankly, hero worship towards the man accused in this killing?
I was, because nothing like this has ever happened. So I think it took us all by surprise. I will say, though, I'm not shocked when you stop to think about the rage that people have about health insurance companies in this country. I experienced that even when I was in the industry. We knew, we being other executives, that healthcare people in healthcare in this country do not like health insurance. They know that these companies are in the business to make money, and they've erected barriers that make it increasingly difficult for us to get the care that we need. So people are just speaking out, I think, out of frustration, and it's unfortunate because we've lost a life, and presumably someone, at least what I've heard, who might have been a lone voice within United Healthcare, trying to get the company to be more friendly toward its customers.
You mentioned this, but you walked away from a six-figure salary as the former vice president of Cigna back in the early 2000s. What was it, in a nutshell, that made you say, I can't do this anymore?
There were two or three things. One, I refer to those barriers. One in particular is refusing to pay for medically necessary care. There was a case involving a 17-year-old girl in Los Angeles who needed a liver transplant, and a medical director for Cigna 2,500 miles away said he didn't think it was medically necessary. The surgery had been scheduled. A liver had been found that was a perfect match for Natalie Sarkeesian, but Cigna said no, it wouldn't cover it. And eventually, Cigna caved to public pressure. pressure because it became a very highly publicized case, and it became a big PR problem for Cigna.
How
and
did I
Cigna
pause it
eventually
before I left?
agreed to pay for the transplant, but it came too late. Delays can be lethal, and these companies delay needed care all the time.
I promise you, Zyro, I didn't realize I pressed the space bar, bro. Like, what? So I just got a Walmart delivery, and it's like, I got to go to the door, and it's like, man.
And that was the case for Natalie Sarkeesian. She died just a few days before Christmas in 2007, and I walked away. There were other reasons. People are being saddled with high out-of-pocket cost. Prior to that, I went to a medical clinic in East Tennessee, near where I grew up in East Tennessee, and people were standing in long lines at a county fair at a free medical clinic waiting to get care that was being provided in barns and animal stalls. Many of those people had health insurance, but they were in plans with high deductibles, and they just didn't have the money in the bank to cover the care that they needed before their insurance would kick in. We pay higher and higher premiums every single year, but one way or another, insurance companies are devaluing our policies, and that's what this rage is all about.
I do want to ask you about something that you said to the Senate Health Care Reform Panel about 20 years ago. You said insurance companies routinely dump policyholders who are less profitable or who get sick as part of their never-ending quest to meeting Wall Street's relentless profit expectations. Do you see any changes for the better from back then, about 20 years ago, 2009?
Sadly, no. In fact, these companies are making even more aggressive use of prior authorization. They're increasing the out-of-pocket obligations year after year. And they just simply are not paying attention to the needs of patients. They are dropping customers as well, too. We're seeing that this year. Most of these big insurance companies have largely taken over our Medicare program. United Health in particular enrolls about a third of people who are in so-called Medicare Advantage plans. And I say so-called because they're able to advertise in ways that deceive people that get them to enroll in these plans. But increasingly, insurance companies this year have been dropping their Medicare Advantage enrollees because they thought they were needing more care than they wanted to pay for. So Humana and CVS, which owns Aetna, have been pulling out of a lot of markets around the country, leaving their Medicare Advantage enrollees in the lurch. They have to figure out what they're going to do next. So that happens all the time.
Wendell Parter, thank you so much for sharing your expertise and giving us real insight into an issue that affects all Americans. I really appreciate it.
Mangione's arrest has spawned Spotify playlists, fan art, and tattoos that glorify the alleged murderer and his crime. TikTok's nickname for him, quote, the adjuster, an apparent nod to the healthcare insurance adjusters who process claims. Mangione's lawyer saying yesterday that his office has even received emails with offers to cover the suspect's legal bills.
Obviously, my client appreciates the support that he has, but I don't know. I'd have to look in, but it just doesn't sit right with me, really. The Supreme Court says, all these rich billionaires can give all kind of money to candidates, and that's free speech. So maybe these people are exercising their right to free speech and saying that's the way they're supporting my client.
Jonah Goldberg, just a remarkable cultural moment here. A difficult one, obviously. I did think it was interesting that when Jason went and talked to normal people, even some of whom, who were willing to say, like, our healthcare industry's got a lot of problems, they were not saying the things that people are willing to say online.
Yeah, so that's what struck me in the piece too, and it proves yet again. We say this, we talk about this a lot in politics. The very online world is very different than the real world, and that said, I find all of this appalling. I agree it's a big cultural moment, and it says something interesting. I wrote a book where a big part of my argument was that one of the reasons our politics are so screwed up is we're following politics like it's a form of entertainment. When you follow entertainment, you just root for the hero. You want them to win. You don't really care whether they break the rules and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's bleeding out into these other things. We've seen some of this before. D.B. Cooper, some of you might remember, was the guy who hijacked a plane and got all this money and parachuted out famously. They made a movie about him. He had copycats. And normally I'm one to say that mass shooters and those kinds of people don't have a lot of copycats necessarily, or at least it's overstated sometimes. When you start calling him a hero and a hottie and all this kind of stuff, it creates a much more perverse cultural incentive structure for somebody else to do this kind of thing.
And there is something different going on here, too, where the algorithms on these social media platforms are rewarding people who are saying the most extreme things. And so those kinds of messages are being amplified, whereas, you know, the person on the street from that piece isn't necessarily being amplified. So I really think that plays into how this dynamic is unfolding.
Yeah. 1,000%. And I mean, a lot of talk to CEOs and corporate leaders I talked to are very concerned about their security in a new way, where a lot of them were like Brian Thompson a week or two ago, just being a little bit more carefree about it, being willing to walk around without major security presence. That has changed in a major way now. And Jonah's right. Like, if he looked like you or I, Jonah, like, he's not getting the same attention that he would looking, you know, kind of in a subjective way.
What are you trying to say?
Yes, exactly. But you're right. You're absolutely right.
But this is also a trend, I think, that you're seeing online across the board, where people are very angry with everything. They're angry with politics, they're angry with CEOs, they're angry across the board, and they're taking it out on social media. And I think the fact that people are making him a hero, it's abhorrent. They should not be connecting healthcare with murder. And I think as a society, I mean, not to be...
The people are angry because everything is expensive. They have to work 2, 3, 4 jobs to get by. And then top it off, you need health insurance, you need car insurance, you need home insurance, you need insurance for everything. That's what you need. You need insurance for every single thing. Yet, sometimes you pay your insurance and they tell you, you know, maybe you're not eligible for this. Maybe your coverage doesn't cover this. It's like, oh, great. So I'm not supporting the killer. Would never support a killer. I would never support anybody that takes somebody's life, except the person comes into your home and, you know, obviously try to do something to harm your family and you in your home or in a confined space where it's just, you have no other option. Okay. It's like there has to be zero option. That's the only option that you can employ. So I would never support anybody who takes anybody's lives, because you can never create a life. So what gives you the right to take somebody's life? Now, that doesn't mean the United Healthcare CEO, maybe he made some wrong decisions in his role as a CEO. Who knows? Nobody knows. A lot of people just assume that's how it goes down. But these things are so complicated that you could never just answer the questions in one way. It's not like, oh, he's guilty, so he deserves it. Or that guy who did it is a hero. No. First of all, that guy's not a hero. In my opinion, y'all could think he's a hero, but it is what it is. I don't think that man, the CEO of United Healthcare, he was actually doing his job to feed his family. He has 2 kids. As much as everybody, some people work at Walmart, some people work at McDonald's, some people work at Georgia Energy or Georgia Power, some people work at Verizon, some people work in the White House, some people work at, wherever you work, okay? Some people work at Tesla, some people work at Microsoft, some people work at Nvidia, some people work, everybody works to feed their family, okay? Everybody has a job to be responsible for the responsibility that they make or bring into this world. So he's just trying to feed his family, as well as the guy who did the do. He was in school. He had a good family, a well-to-do family. But I could never support anybody who takes somebody else's life. And then the people want to say they're a hero. I could never support it. I'm sorry. Okay, next one.
Chilling words tonight from what a law enforcement source says were pages of notes in a spiral-bound notebook made by murder suspect Luigi Mangione, who's now awaiting extradition from Pennsylvania in the murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. In one passage, again, according to our source who was briefed on the matter, Mangione muses about what could be better than to, quote, kill the CEO at his own bean-counting conference. Now, earlier today, his attorney was asked about Mangione's state of mind at the moment.
I wasn't looking for impressions. What I was trying to do was form a bond with my client. I want him to trust me, and I want him to be confident that I'm here for him. And I feel that I'm very pleased how that went.
As we mentioned before the break, some of his friends describe him dropping off the radar recently. We still don't know much about that. We know more, though, about what came before, and our Gary Tuckman has that.
The high school valedictorian, Luigi Mangione,
Wow.
graduating from Baltimore's Gilman School in 2016.
So, of course, this guy is a bright boy, smart, well-to-do, a very brilliant mind. And whatever happened to him, if he's the guy, okay? If he's the guy, whatever happened to him that made him do what he did? Whatever happened to him in his mind that made him do what he did, which is put down the United Healthcare CEO. Whatever happened to him?
16, an exclusive private school.
The parents here today, first off, sending us to Gilman was far from a small financial investment.
Indeed, tuition at the private school was and still is pricey, at almost $38,000 a year today. But murder suspect Mangione had a family with plenty of money.
And I was just stunned, shocked, couldn't believe it. Not who you would think of at all.
Thomas Moronic Jr. is an attorney who knows the family.
Mangione family is one of the prominent families of Baltimore County. They own a lot of real estate, they own golf courses. They're just a very well-respected name.
In this family picture, Luigi Mangione stands third from the left. He is surrounded by his sisters. His father, Louis, and mother, Kathleen, are on the right. In the late 70s, the murder suspect's late grandfather, World War II veteran Nicholas Mangione Sr., and his late grandmother, Mary, started creating a business empire. The grandfather grew up in Baltimore's Little Italy neighborhood. He ended up buying 2 country clubs, started a nursing home company, and bought WCBM Radio, a well-known conservative talk station in Baltimore. Family members also run a family foundation that has nearly $4.5 million in assets, and were longtime benefactors of Loyola University, Maryland. The suspect's father today runs the family business. Attorney Moronic used to be a talk show host at the radio station owned by the family.
Well, they donated money for the pools, the swimming center at Loyola University. It bears their name. That's a huge amount of donating to get that.
One of Luigi Mangione's cousins is a state legislator in Maryland.
I am Delegate Nino Mangione, for the record, District 42A in Baltimore County.
Republican Delegate Nino Mangione introduced a bill earlier this year to bring back the death penalty in Maryland.
I believe we need to send a strong signal to the most vicious of all criminals that if you take a life, that justice in turn will demand your life.
The bill failed. Notably, New York State, where United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson was killed, also does not have the death penalty. State Delegate Mangione released a statement on behalf of the family that says in part, "Our family is shocked and devastated by Luigi's arrest. We offer our prayers to the family of Brian Thompson, and we ask people to pray for all involved. We are devastated by the news." Luigi Mangione received an Ivy League education, graduating with a bachelor's and then master's degree from the University of Pennsylvania. That, coupled with his family wealth, afforded him advantages most don't have. To conclude his high school valedictorian speech, he said this.
It's been an incredible journey, and I simply can't imagine the last few years with any other group of guys.
A young man of promise then, an alleged killer now, whose journey into darkness has only just begun. Gary Tuckman, CNN, New York.
Some perspective now. Joining us is forensic psychologist Chris Mohandy and CNN senior national security analyst Juliette Kayyem. Juliette, I'm listening to Gary expand on his background. How does that, or how might it fit into the puzzle that investigators are trying to piece together right now? I mean, is this the usual profile for a shooter in this kind of crime?
The profiles differ, but the idea that he had a great education and came from privilege, we've had killers like this before, in particular the Unabomber, Kaczynski was Ivy League educated, was quite smart, had a purpose for his killings. So the thing that they're going to try to connect, at least in the investigation, is what happened to lead to this moment? Was it the physical pain that he was in? Was it outside substances, drugs, or whatever else? Was it a radicalization process either through books or online? So they're going to be looking at that got him focused on not just hating our healthcare system, but actually hunting down a CEO.
Chris, I mean, we've learned the suspect fell out of contact with his friends and family for about 6 months ahead of the alleged killing. What does that tell you? How critical will his actions during that time period be for investigators and just to kind of understand why he did this?
I think it's going to be critical to piece together what was going on in those 6 months. The fact that his mom filed a missing persons report November 18th strongly suggests that there was deterioration that they noted. His friends noted that he dropped off the radar. All of these things are consistent with, and I don't, provide these kinds of statements lightly, that there's a likely deterioration in his mental state. He actually looks different than he did as the joyful younger man that he was. There's an intensity that is about him that he did not used to have. I believe that there's a chance that he could have a significant mental deterioration. That doesn't change the fact that he had a grievance, that it was likely based in his own personal experience, and then learning about the experiences of others, and then immersing himself in the materials in books that he was reading, Deny, Defend, Delay, or some variant of that, and a couple of other books, as well as his identification with Ted Kaczynski, who was mentioned by our other esteemed guest here, that led him to justify those other statements that were in that alleged manifesto of the parasites had it coming, and then ultimately to prepare, which is, these are the steps that a person goes through to ultimately do and involve themselves in this kind of targeted violence.
Yeah, Julia, I just want to play again the incident as he was being led into court today and ask you about it.
Oh my God! And completely out of touch, and the insult to the intelligence of the American people and the lived experience.
You know, I mean, there are some people out there who are portraying this guy as like an avenger for, a cause. What I don't understand is how much is it just he read stuff and is impassioned and did this, which seems less likely to me than he had some severe mental health issue that then he started to focus on this particular thing through that lens.
Yes, or it could be all of the above, that there's mental deterioration, then it's linked to what we understand is a physical ailment. And then this is the key and goes to what he was saying there, then him creating a narrative of why it wasn't just about him, right? And now this is exactly what Kaczynski did. And the ties, the clear ties between Kaczynski and this case, in terms of creating a narrative that the killing isn't just a killing, it's a killing for a purpose. That purpose then elevates the person, right? So they become some sort of cult leader. And remember, Kaczynski also had followers like this. We didn't have the internet or social media, but he had a lot of people who were kind of into him. And we see that now. And the danger of that isn't simply it's wrong, it's disgusting, he murdered and assassinated a person. But then you get into the copycat aspects of this. People who do not have the mental deterioration or the physical deterioration and just decide this is the way forward for whatever I deem as social justice.
Yeah. Chris Mahandy.
This right here is just wow. He came from a well-to-do family. Everything looked like he was brought up with a silver spoon. He went to a good school. He was a bright kid, definitely. But now they're saying his mom filed for a missing person in October or something like that. So if this guy has been missing for like 3 months now, according to the news. So what is his actual state of mind? What is his mental state like? Because money isn't the problem for these people. According to CRXR says sometimes, wealthy family, rich family can be DICK. But what do you guys think? He came from a well-to-do family. There's no way he would be thinking about health insurance. But then again, he had back surgery and he's been living in pain. I mean, this guy's in his 20s. Whew. This world is just wild. We just never know.
We are just learning fingerprint comparisons made between prints collected at the scene of the Brian Thompson murder compared with prints taken in the arrest process of Luigi Mangione show a positive match. 2 law enforcement officials briefed on the matter have just confirmed to CNN. We're going to have more on that in just a moment. Also this hour, Mangione is still behind bars in Pennsylvania after a judge denied him bail. Before his court appearance, that was yesterday, he yelled and struggled against officers once he turned and saw that the media was standing outside the courthouse. And police now say a notebook that they found on him has a so-called to-do list in it from before the killing, as well as a reported reference to deciding not to use a bomb to target the victim so he would not, quote-unquote, kill innocents. Also new this morning, disturbing video of what appears to be wanted posters popping up around New York City for other health executives. All of this as the suspect's lawyer is now speaking out about offers they say they've received to pay from outside to pay for his legal fees.
Obviously, my client appreciates the support that he has, but I don't know. I'd have to look in, but it just doesn't sit right with me, really. The Supreme Court says, all these rich billionaires can give all kind of money to candidates, and that's free speech. So maybe these people are exercising their right to free speech and saying that's the way they're supporting my client.
Joining us right now, CNN Chief Law Enforcement and Intelligence Analyst John Miller, CNN Law Enforcement Contributor Steve Moore, also here with me. John, this is your new reporting, and this is a big deal. This is the first positive forensic match that we know of. Walk us through what you've learned.
So, fingerprints collected at the scene of the Thompson murder from a plastic water bottle, from a discarded cell phone, the so-called burner phone, have now been compared against the arrest fingerprints taken by police in Altoona of the suspect. And yesterday they were able to make a match to the prints that they collected at the scene. Not a surprise in some regard, in that they had an individual allegedly with a gun and a silencer and a mask and those things, but it is the first scientific forensic match that joins the growing pile of circumstantial evidence that they can say, well, how else would it be someone if that fingerprint is here and he's there with that gun and so on. Now, there's more, which is DNA evidence still pending, ballistic tests still pending. Part of that is because the gun was recovered in Pennsylvania. To match that to be the same gun, they would have to obtain it, fire it, test it, compare the shell casings and the bullets. But this is a big deal.
It is a big deal because, to this point, that could be one of the things that you could hear from the suspect's attorney saying, you don't know if this is the guy. This wasn't me. We talked about this, right? Like, you could say this isn't me, this guy with a mask and this, whatever. But this is scientific connection, forensic connection between the two. Talk to me more about ballistics. Is it just a logistical kind of obstacle that needs to be overcome in order to get confirmation or not that the ballistics match, do you think? Or
the gun is actually the charge that they are holding him on in Pennsylvania. So that evidence needs to stay with him because, they are the ones who have him in custody, and he has not waived extradition, which basically says, I'm not going to New York, where they would then turn over all that evidence to New York City and then have them do those tests. But they understand, they are in it for the long game. They don't need to know that tomorrow or the next day, and it gives them more time to do the background investigation they're still doing, which includes mundane things, but very necessary things like completing the video canvas, tightening up that map where they can show a picture of him almost through every step of his New York journey.
I want to get to more of that, but Steve, let me bring you in on this. Just the importance of what John Miller has learned about this fingerprint match.
Yeah, as we've learned, something can look like a slam dunk case, but a lawyer can find just niches or cracks in any kind of strong case. And what they're doing now is filling up the cracks. They're eliminated any doubt before they go to trial that this is the person who committed this crime. He's already fighting. He's already shown what he's going to do. He's going to fight every single motion, even a perfunctory extradition motion. So he isn't going to go quietly on this. So the police are obviously dotting their I's and crossing their T's.
For sure. And John, something that we've talked about, and I guess it still remains, there are so many questions that remain. And I'm wondering if this notebook that we're learning more about kind of adds to this picture is, how did this guy know that the CEO was going to be where he was going to be when he was?
So,
is that where the line of thinking is in investigating how we learn more about that?
There are clues. I mean, you know it because you've been by there, but that New York Hilton Hotel takes up, half of a full city block. It has doors all the way down 53rd Street and all the way down 54th Street, and a front door and a rear driveway. That's like 20 entrances you would have to cover to know where is this guy going to enter the hotel. But you would also have to know, what if he is going to enter from this side, because I have learned he's staying at the hotel across the street. How would you know that? He gives us an oblique reference in the 3-page note that we've loosely called the manifesto, where he says, this wasn't that difficult. It was a combination of social engineering and computer-assisted design, an engineer term, CAD he referred to it as. But I think what he's telling us there on the social engineering side is, this is what people do when they create an email, a spoof email or a phone call saying, I have a delivery, which, where do I bring that, posing as somebody else. He's suggesting that he learned intelligence information on his target by doing that kind of thing. But then when you get out of the note and into the spiral notebook, and he acknowledges this in the note as well. He said, my electronics you're going to find are pretty locked down, but in the spiral notebook you'll see to-do lists and other notes. Some of those notes are theoretical notes about targeting and what is the just way to commit such a crime. He talks about Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber, and how if he modeled after him, a bomb in a shareholders conference could kill innocent people. Same on the street. But he talks about shooting being the more precise way to take on his target. In one line he says, and what better way?
And people say this guy isn't smart. Oh, he's not so smart. Come on. Look, he's smart. He knew deep down that he didn't want to do the bomb issue because that's going to kill a lot of people. So he wanted something precise. And people are going to say this guy is not brilliant. I think he's brilliant. Okay. And the United States, whoever is in charge of the police force or whatever, need to learn something from this boy because he's a young boy. It took them like 3-4 days to actually find a suspect because he's still a suspect at this point. He's not 1000% the person, but it's looking like he may be the person, but he's still a suspect at this point. They're saying his fingerprint matches the fingerprint they found on the gun, but it's still a suspect. So there may be a lot that could be learned from this guy that they're saying is not smart. He's smart.
To take out the CEO than to shoot him at his own, quote, bean counters conference.
Yep. An investor conference is exactly what you could say that is.
Right.
And Steve, what do you think? There's so much that is coming out. I mean, this reporting from John is most significant about the forensic that they're now positively IDing. What questions do you have that remain now, Steve, and where you would say, leaning on your experience with the FBI, where you think this investigation focuses a lot of its energy now?
Well, you've got a lot of the basic building blocks of this case already being nailed down. What I'd want to do is shore up the areas where you don't have direct knowledge yet, or at least they haven't said they have direct knowledge of the shooter's actions. For instance, before a shareholders conference like this, they're going to be setting up for about a week. They're going to do rehearsals and speeches and stuff. I would want to know where he was. We have cameras and everything on the day of shooting, but I'd like to see cameras around the entrances and find out whether Thompson did the same thing for several mornings, or whether maybe somebody in the hotel actually provided him information. I suspect he went a week early, and I suspect he was doing canvassing and surveillance that entire time.
It's interesting when you talk about that, because that's the backward building of this video canvas. He comes in on the 24th. That's like 10 days before the actual shooting. And where they have tracked him is he comes out of the Port Authority bus terminal and does not go to check into the hostel where he's going to stay. He goes straight with all of his bags to the Hilton Hotel, and he starts doing those walkarounds. But they also have him in a McDonald's, which we now know, I guess, was his preference for hanging out.
I was going to say his preferred.
And that's the thing, like, if this guy is so smart, why would he not wear a glove? Like, at least like a little, I don't know, something that just not indicates his fingerprint to put the bullet in. I mean, according to Arbardo says they probably got his fingerprints when on the bullet because he probably wasn't wearing the gloves when he put the bullets in the gun. And that may be true. However, it's like this guy was smart enough to actually prepare himself, get down to business, and then he didn't know not to disclose his fingerprint. It's just too many fishy situations going on right here. But I'll let y'all put your comment in the chat and let's see what's going on. It's a little fishy, but let's see what time it is.
Brian Todd is joining us right now. Brian, all of this is deeply troubling for corporations worried about the security of their top executives.
Right, Wolf, and the security posture for top corporations has changed dramatically since the shooting. And that's happening at the same time that support for the suspect has grown so much that it's translated into marketing opportunities. A banner hangs on a Baltimore overpass reading "Deny, Defend, Depose." Those words, which police found on shell casings near where United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson was gunned down, are now appearing on merchandise for sale online. The phrase could be linked to a 2010 book critical of the healthcare industry titled "Delay, Deny, Defend," which has risen to #2 on Amazon's nonfiction bestsellers list.
It's just shocking to me that we have seen this level of public outpouring of support for what is essentially a cold-blooded public execution.
Amazon,
in my opinion, is just like November 5th, okay? Because a lot of people connect Daniel Penny to Trump. And, Jesse Walters from Fox News said Daniel Penny should get a congressional golden medal, and he believes that Trump should invite him over to the White House and honor him for being a Marine and also a Marine veteran, and also like helping people on the train. Same thing goes here, guys. Trump was indicted by Alvin Bragg and all these people who wanted to take him down, and he was convicted of how many counts? All right, how many counts of felony? But guess what? The people proudly spoke and said, you know what? We're not going for all that BS. You guys went after this guy. You went after this guy's house. You went after him. And you went to his house. FBI went to his house, tried to raid his house. Raid his house. But the people still voted for him. The people voted for the OG, the legend, the Don, the 45th, now the 47th president-elect. They voted for him. So none of those indictment, conviction, or whatever is going to actually matter now, because the people spoke. 76 million people plus voted for him. He won all swing state. He won the electoral college, and he won popular votes. Okay, so now the same thing goes for this guy. The people are saying that the media is saying majority of the people they've spoken with, the social media algorithm that have seen, like posts and all that stuff, he's trending towards people saying he's a hero or he did the right thing. That's what people are saying. People are saying that this guy may have done the right thing by dropping the CEO for United Healthcare. That is to tell you that there's something incredibly wrong with something. There's something incredibly wrong with the healthcare situation in the United States. For people to say this is somebody's father, brother, uncle, husband being gunned down in New York publicly, being shown on TV's children would probably be, I guess, traumatized forever. Same as his wife, same as his family members, brothers, parents, cousins, nephew. Like, everybody's traumatized in his family. Yet, people know and saw that he has kids. People know. And they still support this guy. People still support Luigi Mangione. Even after the news media said this guy has 2 kids. People are still saying, well, look, he probably killed so many people in his lifetime for being the CEO of United Healthcare. So would you say these, would we call them fanatics, or would we just call them supporters, are sort of like the same with the majority of Americans who were just fed up and tired and voted for the 47th? Are we just going to say that? Because these same people are saying, well, I don't know if it's Republicans or Democrats or independent, but I do know there are some Republicans, there are some Democrats, and there are some independent that are saying maybe what Luigi did isn't so bad. Like, this guy has 2 kids, but then people are saying maybe what he did isn't so bad. And this is majority of Americans. On TikTok, he's like Batman. It's like Robin Hood. So, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what this is. Life is becoming really complicated. And it's really sucks that it's this time that Trump is coming. It has to suck so bad, and now Trump is coming in. Like, I don't know why Trump has to come this time, when the division, all of this is just popping up. It's wild.
Has been trying to pull that merchandise from its website for violating company rules, a source tells CNN. But items with that phrase remain on sale on eBay, which tells CNN the phrase itself doesn't violate the company's rules, but items that glorify or incite violence do. Tonight, this is all part of a growing backlash against corporate America, and specifically the healthcare industry, in the wake of the shooting.
For many, many years, people have become increasingly frustrated with private insurance. Too many denials of requests for care for themselves or their loved ones.
But it's not just healthcare providers feeling the heat. Following the capture of suspect Luigi Mangione at a McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania, and the reporting that an employee there had called police, the restaurant's pages on Google and Yelp have been flooded with negative reviews. Mangione's fans on social media have exploded.
Our hero, our vigilante.
He is a natural magnet to attract deep complaints about a broken private healthcare system.
And Mangione's attorney says people have even come forward to offer help paying his legal bills.
Obviously, my client appreciates the support that he has, but I don't know,
Shout out to everybody watching right now. Double tap your screen, subscribe to the channel. Shout out to Ray Adventures. It says they are calling Luigi Mangione the adjuster. They're calling Luigi, who took a father's life, a husband's life, the adjuster. He is the adjuster according to these people on social media. So now, are we going to say that's like millions of people are wrong? Because it's the same way with the 47th election. So we're going to say 74 million people were wrong because what? Everybody has an opinion, but when you see millions of people supporting Luigi Mangione and then calling him the adjuster, of course, he did a bad thing. Absolutely. But there must be something wrong with these millions of people. Or is it just something wrong with the insurance companies and it needs to be checked out? Because don't forget, in 2020, this person ran but lost. But now he won. Why? Because people were fed up and tired. Same thing with Luigi Mangione. Maybe people are just fed up and tired of these insurance companies. And they're like, you know what? We support you, Luigi. And people are willing to pay his lawyers. People say, we're going to pay. If this guy is giving bond, he's probably not going to spend 10 minutes in there. He's going to walk. If he's giving a jury, he's going to work. He's going to walk. Especially if he's giving a jury of his peers. Of course, he's going to be giving a jury of his peers. So he's going to walk. Because there's no jury that would convict this guy right here. No jury will convict this guy right here. It's just absolutely not possible.
I'd have to look in, but it just doesn't sit right with me, really.
Outside the New York Stock Exchange, posters were put up praising Thompson's murder with a red X across his picture. Other posters singled out another executive. The NYPD, in an intelligence report, says it believes Thompson's murder was a, quote, symbolic takedown and could inspire others to commit violence against business leaders.
The threats that are facing corporate leaders today are significant because they are the face of the organization.
United Healthcare now has security fencing around its headquarters. CNN is reporting that many corporations are now scrambling to protect their senior executives as police warn them of elevated threats.
I think that there are people out there who hope that this will scare companies into submission. I just think that's foolish. It will certainly scare them into hiring more security.
Well, they keep saying this is going to scare the corporate American CEO example, like the insurance companies, to hire more CEO. But why did this happened the next day concerning anesthetics? The next day this shouldn't happen. Let's go find that news for you. So anesthesia, all right. So the next day, I think this happened on December 5th. This shooting happened on December 5th. And December 6th, insurance company halts plan to put time limit on coverage for anesthesia during surgery. So did the shooting actually change something? Because this happened the next day after the shooting, okay? So United Healthcare CEO is being gunned down in New York, and the next day, insurance company in the United States, okay, halts plan to put time limits on coverage for anesthesia during surgery. I don't know, guys. I don't know. Do I support this? Absolutely not. I don't support anybody who does something bad, even for a good reason. Because at the end of the day, you can't, too bad can't make it right. Or whatever that saying is, too, whatever. Okay. But everybody is going to do what they have to do to fulfill whatever ideologies they have in their heart or their mind. That's just wild.
One prominent corporate security firm told CNN that within the first 36 hours of the shooting of Brian Thompson, they received 70 requests from companies for added security for executives. A top official of that security firm telling us it is a huge wake-up call that the mood changed dramatically in a very short period of time.
Very worrisome indeed, Brian Todd. Thanks for that report. Let's discuss what's going on with Kevin O'Leary. He's an investor on the television show Shark Tank and the chairman of O'Leary Ventures. Kevin, thanks so much for joining us. You said this outrage towards health insurance companies should be a major wake-up call for them. But if their incentives are to grow their profits, sometimes at the expense of people's health, do you trust them to meaningfully reform?
I think they have to. I mean, this is quite a backlash. This is the power of social media. Corporations saw this first in the Anheuser-Busch Bud Light case, where they lost $6 billion worth of market cap in 6 weeks. They'd never seen that before. This is occurring because people are frustrated with the appeal process in all health insurance. And so what the executives have to do at United Health, and frankly the whole industry, is appeal to reality and say, look, it's on us now. We understand you're unhappy. I mean, this murder, this assassination is horrific. There's nothing good to be said about that, and there's lots of problems with it. But at the end of the day, what it's leading to is the frustration of the users of healthcare, and everybody's affected by healthcare. They should be coming out now saying, look, we get it. We have families too. We're people. We have children. We care about what you think about, and we're going to automate this process and make it better or do whatever they have to. That when you appeal a case, it's not a delay situation. And if you have a valid claim, you get paid out. That's what insurance is supposed to do. But putting a fence around headquarters, hiring more security guards, that's all bad imagery, Wolf. It's all bad, and it's not the right answer.
As you probably
there you have
know,
it. So this insurance company's executives, their answer is hire more security. When the next day, you guys certainly covered Anastasia during surgery. So you know something is wrong. Now, a lot of people are going to say, well, this guy did something wrong. Accept it. Everybody knows he did something wrong. This person was a father, was a husband, and, brother, cousin, uncle to somebody. But if your response is you want to hire more security for your company, your executives, your CEO, why don't you use that influence, that resources to kind of sort of make life easier for the people? Because these people make billions of dollars every year. Insurance company makes billions of dollars every year. Well, now, am I saying what Luigi did is justifiable? Absolutely not. I'm not justifying what Luigi did. I told y'all he did something bad, but some people would say he did something bad for the right reasons. And just for that, he's being nicknamed the Adjuster. Even Kevin O'Leary, he's saying this guy is like a top executive. Everybody knows Kevin from Shark Tank. Okay, everybody knows him. He's saying if these executives go get more security, that's just bad look. And all this is just wild because, of course, now the 47th is coming back. So it's like, wait, all this is starting during this term, and it's just wild. More division.
Frustration of the users of healthcare, and everybody's affected by healthcare. They should be coming out now saying, look, we get it. We have families too. We're people. We have children. We care about what you think about, and we're going to automate this process and make it better or do whatever they have to do. That when you appeal a case, it's not a delay situation. And if you have a valid claim, you get paid out. That's what insurance is supposed to do. But putting a fence around headquarters, hiring more security guards, that's all bad imagery, Wolf. It's all bad, and it's not the right answer.
As you probably know, a Kaiser Family Foundation survey found that about 1 in 5 insured adults dealt with health care claims being denied last year. People are sharing stories online of their claims being denied for surgeries, cancer treatments, and major health issues. What do you say to them?
Well, there's probably valid reasons to deny, but if it's set up so that you just can't appeal it in a way that is cost effective because you can't afford to hire a lawyer, particularly in an expensive surgery, it doesn't matter. At this point, social media is now the jury, and it doesn't like what it sees. So if you're an executive...
And there you have it. Social media is now the jury. The time has come that the people now have the power because of social media. And that's why, like, private influencers, like just regular random people, just like me, okay? Like, we have, 300 people watching this live stream right now. Look, regular random people are having their own voice. They can influence whatever. The social media game has changed the game. Now social media is the jury. If the social media game says, look, we don't like what you guys are doing and we actually support Luigi, that's what's going to happen. Because check this out. The fact that the 47th is actually the 47th, it's because of social media. Okay? A lot of people don't even watch mainstream media. They are on social media 24/7. So social media determines what or who the villain is, or who the actor is, or the good person or the bad guy. So here you have it. Here you have it. Social media says Luigi is a good guy, just like social media is saying Danny Penny is a good guy, and some part of social media is saying Danny Penny is a bad guy. Some part of social media is saying Luigi is a bad guy. Some part are saying he's a good guy, but most parts are saying Daniel Penny is a good guy, and they're saying Luigi is a good guy. They're both different cases. However, everything still models back to the commander-in-chief next year. Because a lot of people, the mainstream media has painted this guy as a bad guy, yet the people voted for him. Now people are comparing Luigi to this guy. People are comparing Danny Penny to Trump. People are comparing Luigi to Trump. I'm telling y'all, this is wild, guys.
You know, in interim management, United Healthcare, or any other health company, you got to read the room, Wolf. You got to read the room and realize right now that the public is turning against you. They are your customers, and they don't like it. Now, this poor man lost his life, horrific. But if anything good is going to come of this, it's going to be policy change, because you've basically got people lighting up their torches, just like in the Frankenstein.
She already did. I forgot to wear your socks.
Story, and going to the castle, and they're going to burn it down. And you gotta hear that. So if you're an executive saying, get me more security guards, wrong answer. That's just wrong. If you don't understand what you have to do now to get in front of this thing and say, look, it's on us. We hear you. We hear you. We hear you. And we're people.
What do you guys think about Kevin's response to this guy? Do you think the insurance company should come out and say, okay, what Luigi did is bad, it should face the full extent of the law, but however, we're going to change some policies when it comes to insurance claims? Do you support what Kevin is saying, or you're saying, you know what, the insurance company should double down and get more securities for their CEOs or for their executives and hire whatever office? I think what Kevin is saying is right, because I'm saying essentially the same thing. People are supporting Luigi because they are dissatisfied with insurance claims or insurance companies, especially healthcare. So it's like, if the people are supporting Luigi for gunning down the United Healthcare CEO, and people are willing to pay for Luigi's lawyer and willing to pay for bail, these are like random people on social media willing to contribute money to his lawyer and to bail, or for bail. So, like, don't you think the insurance CEOs, these companies, should change policies? Because the customers are saying, yo, we don't like the product that you're selling us. Of course, we have to buy, because that's the only option. You can't, I mean, what, you're not going to have healthcare insurance? You need insurance to go to the hospital to check yourself. Okay, just like car insurance. You need car insurance to drive. You need insurance to drive in the United States. Lord, you need insurance to drive in the United States. So it's the same thing with healthcare. You need insurance. But if the people that you're serving are saying they support someone for gunning down one of your executives, then you're selling a bad product, because your customers are supposed to be happy. Your customers are not supposed to be wishing death on you, because that's what is going on right now.
We'll solve this problem. Here's how we're going to do it. This goes back to the Tylenol case. You got to get in front of it. And so far, I've seen no reaction. It's a bad thing, Wolf, bad. So if you're out there and you're an executive, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
You know, the suspected CEO killer, Luigi Mangione, has the same type of upbringing as so many corporate executives. He's from a prominent family. He went to an Ivy League school, the University of Pennsylvania. He worked in tech. What do you make of that?
Mental illness at play. It has to be. No one person 3D prints with a polymer tactical weapon. And by the way, that story in itself is very disturbing. I mean, that to actually use a weapon like this, 3D printed, if that's the case, and use it effectively while you're walking, those that shoot pistols competitively know how hard that is to do, with a silencer on, which makes it even less effective. I mean, this is a stunning story in itself. But if he's not insane now, he will be after he spends the first 6 years in solitary confinement. It's a horrifically bad story for his family. This poor man, and I think law enforcement has found their perp, as they like to say, is in for a horrific ride. It's just, this populism around him is not right, first of all, but it's what we pay. You know, this concept of lunatic fringe. If you want to have freedom of speech on social media, you got to deal with this kind of stuff, which is 2.5%, 3% of people doing this, but it's wrong. But for this poor man, there's no question in my mind, there's a mental illness here. He was estranged from his family for months, and then he does this. This makes no sense, but I don't know what to say. You know, I feel compassion for his family, but I don't endorse what he did. This is just wrong. He will pay a horrific price in his life for this, and that's just the way it is.
Kevin O'Leary, good to have you in the city.
Shout out to Kevin O'Leary. Like, look, facts. He's gonna pay a horrific price for this. But I like the fact that he also addressed the insurance companies and the insurance executives, because you have to address that point as well. Of course, Luigi, his life is probably over at this point. He is definitely mentally unstable at this point. But the insurance executives, the insurance body needs to adjust and be more for the people. Because if the people that you're insuring, that you're selling your product to, are saying, you know what, we don't care about one of y'all's top executives' lives, then something is wrong, okay? They say the customer is always right. That's what they say. I know y'all do sales and all that stuff. If you are a salesperson, you know that your customer is always right. You supply your customer what they want, what they like, at the price that is most convenient for them. And if the news is insurance companies are making hell of a profit, billions and billions and billions of dollars, in some cases trillions of dollars, so it's like the people are fed up, and that's why they're supporting Luigi over a top executive in the insurance company. And that's just sad.
Dickey. He is the defense attorney for Luigi Mangione. And Thomas, I appreciate your time. And obviously you are dealing with this, your other cases as well in court today. The NYPD commissioner tonight is announcing that the gun that your client had on him when he was arrested in Pennsylvania at that McDonald's, they are saying that specific gun matches the 3 shell casings at the scene of the murder in New York. What's your response to that from the New York NYPD commissioner tonight?
Yes, Aaron, thank you for having me, first of all. You know, Aaron, I still haven't seen that evidence. Lawyers need to see evidence. Those saying you have something and getting that admitted into court are 2 different things. In fact, so what we're talking about is fingerprint evidence and some ballistics. Those 2 sciences in and of themselves have come under some criticism in the past relative to their credibility, their truthfulness, their accuracy, however you want to do it. So that's why, as lawyers, we need to see it. We need to see how do they collect it, how much of it matches. You know, like I don't want to get too technical, but fingerprints, they go by ridges, different things like that. And then we would have our experts. We would have experts take a look at that. And then we would challenge its admissibility and challenge the accuracy of those results.
So, you know, when you mention it's the ballistics, but also the fingerprints, when you're talking about fingerprints and the ridges on the fingerprints, you just.
Thank you for tuning in one more time. You know what time it is. It is your boy, Genesis. Okay, Kookaburra Whisperer. That's like probably like the 4th time I'm seeing you on the live show. So you're saying I don't think people are supporting Luigi's actions, but rather they understand his actions. Nope. People are willing to pay this guy's lawyer. They're willing to pay for his bond. And you're saying they understand his action? No, they're supporting him. People are fed up and they're supporting this guy like huge. On social media, he has a huge fan base at this point. People are supporting this guy. They're calling him the adjuster. They're calling this guy the adjuster, and that this guy has started something to the extent that the next day this incident happens, insurance company halts plan to put time limits on coverage for anesthesia during surgery. This is like the next day this happened. So are we going to say that insurance companies don't know that the people are dissatisfied, or they just don't care? One of the two is either they don't know, but if they don't know, or if they didn't know, now they do know. Okay? If you didn't know, now you know. That's what's going on right now. If you did not know, meaning if the insurance company did not know that the product they were selling to the people weren't happy with it, or the people are not happy with it, now they do know. So adjustment would have to be made. Do I support Luigi? Absolutely not. But this is proof. If people, millions of people across the United States, are willing to pay Luigi's lawyer, willing to pay for his bond, if this guy opens up a GoFundMe, you best believe he's probably gonna raise $100 million easy across the United States. Like easy. I'm telling y'all, man. I'm telling y'all.
Mentioned specifically, the NYPD does say those fingerprints match the fingerprints, your client's fingerprints match the fingerprints on the water bottle, and that kind.
So this is the thing. I respect everybody's opinion. Okay, CRXR says 2 wrongs don't make it right. 5 years old children know this. Then let's go to Daniel Penny's case. Jordan Neely was wrong for threatening people. Okay, he was. Daniel Penny did what he had to do. Was he wrong? Y'all said no, he wasn't wrong. Y'all said give him a congressional golden medal. You cannot pick a side for a case and say to another case that is like probably similar and say 2 wrongs don't make it right. I don't know how y'all do it.
Bar near the murder scene. So is what you're saying that you're not sure that the methodology that they're using or the company that they're, or however that they're matching those fingerprints, you're not confident in that?
Well, I'd have to see it. I mean, anybody can, if they're going to use it, of course they're going to say that. But you have to see things. And that's why, people need to keep an open mind. And, we would get our day in court and we would get that evidence. And we can examine that evidence and challenge it, all the way.
At this point,
would do so.
Has your client said anything to you? Or, are you disputing that he was in New York City? CRXR, my brother. Look, I got respect and love for you, bro. Much respect for you. However, you said 2 wrongs don't make a right. Even 5 years old children know this. 5 years old children don't know if you're in the Marines or not. Okay, so you said that's your word. Those are your words. You say 2 wrongs don't make it right. And now, in this case, you're saying that man was a Marine. You said 2 wrongs don't make a right. So if you go left in Luigi's case, you probably need to go left on Daniel Penny's case as well.
I'm not going to get into any communications between my client and I. That's not proper. And again, if and when formal charges are filed, no question that my client would indicate a plea of not guilty.
No question that so you're sure it'll be a not guilty.
So Allah Prime says, you support it. You're just afraid to admit it because you don't want to upset people. Just be real. Bro, I don't care if people leave or whatever. Like, bro, I already said here multiple times, I did not support, or I do not support Daniel Penny's action. You can restrain someone. You can disarm someone. You can de-escalate a situation without escalating. That's why it's called de-escalation in the first place. But you guys said he deserves a congressional golden medal. And I said, fine, you have your own opinion. I did not support Daniel Penny on the subway, okay? Jordan Neely was ultimately wrong for threatening people on the train. However, there were two other guys restraining these guys. But you guys said he deserves a Congressional Medal of Honor. He's a great guy and he needs to go see Trump in the White House. And why? Because he protected people by taking somebody else's lives. But y'all want to give this guy a Congressional Golden Medal. Okay, great. So now in Luigi's case, all right, millions of people, I already said I do not support anything that pertains to taking somebody else's lives. In Daniel Penny's case, I didn't support it. In Luigi's case, I could never support it no matter what. You could do something bad for the right reasons. As far as I'm concerned, Daniel Penny did the right thing, a bad thing for the right reasons. He did a bad thing for the right reasons. He wanted to protect people on the subway, but what he did was bad because now a human being that nobody can create is gone. Same thing with Luigi. He did a bad thing in his mind for the right thing. And you could tell from the people supporting him, the people are supporting this guy. Like, I'm not the person supporting Luigi. Millions of people are supporting Luigi and willing to pay his lawyer, willing to pay his bond money. Millions. I can guarantee you, if this guy set up a GoFundMe, yeah, he's probably going to be one of the richest men in like 2 weeks in the United States.
Plea. Do you know when you're going to get?
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Finish your thought.
Yeah, the burden of proof is always on the government, okay? So, again, people forget that he and any other person charged with a crime is presumed innocent. That means we start off square one with a presumption of innocent of him being innocent. And the rest then follows, and then we challenge the evidence and contest it and battle it out in court where it belongs.
Right. Well, it's important, though, that, you're indicating there's no question that he would have a...
CR, I already told you, bro. CRXR, he is wrong, bro. Was Luigi wrong? Absolutely wrong. But what's up? What about the millions of people saying he is their hero? Just like people were saying this other guy was a hero to them. So you're saying these millions of people saying Luigi's a hero, they are so wrong. But then in the other case, they're so wrong for saying he's not a hero. So it's like, Luigi did something bad. Absolutely, he deserves to go to jail forever. I don't know, like whatever the law says, he should go and do what he has to do. Okay? Because he took somebody's life. You cannot take somebody's life and expect to walk. Okay, you cannot expect to walk for taking somebody's life. Even if you did it for the right reasons, but you just committed a crime. You did something bad. People are saying this guy is the adjuster. They are vigilante. He's the good guy for committing a crime. Luigi, to me, is absolutely wrong. And whatever justice he gets, he gets. But guess what? Millions of people are laughing, are posting on social media and saying these insurance companies have done or have gotten what they deserve. I'm not the millions of people laughing and saying this executive are going to get what they deserve. And people are wishing for more Luigi. It's like people are wishing for more Luigi, guys. Luigi is absolutely wrong. He deserves to get the maximum penalty for his actions. However, the people have spoken. People are willing to pay his lawyers. People are willing to pay for his bond. This ain't me. People want to do it. So do you think insurance companies should adjust or double down and get more securities?
Plea for not guilty when he makes that plea. May I just ask you, though, Thomas, just your sense of the situation? They're putting out, the NYPD commissioner is saying, right, that the ballistics match. The NYPD is saying that the fingerprints match. You're saying you haven't seen this evidence. Are you frustrated that you haven't seen it? Are you trying to get your hands on that at this time?
Yeah, unfortunately, the way the process works is we don't get it right away. They don't have to give it to us, until certain times and certain spots as the case moves forward. I'm trying to get my hands on as much as I can, but again, you have to see it. You can't examine something and comment on it. And that's what's frustrating about it, because we get to see it and we get to hire our own experts and look at it and all the methodology that's involved in it and challenge it.
So when you talk
that's
about
my duty to my client, and I welcome that.
No, I understand, and that's the way this would go. I am curious.
Okay, this is what I like. This is why I like streaming and I like talking to everybody. And I'm so glad and happy and fortunate that people actually want to listen. I don't know, who am I? Okay, so Arbado says the only difference between the two is one was intentional and one was unintentional. So I'm guessing Arbado means like by unintentional, it means Daniel Penny was unintentional and Luigi was intentional, pre-planned. You're right. You're absolutely right. But if something is unintentional and you're being interviewed, should you say it was absolutely unintentional? And I apologize for how his people feel that he lost his life. I wish he lived, but he didn't live, and I'm sorry about that. And if I could do it again, I probably would have released a little bit. But you guys watched Daniel Penny's interview. He said if he could do it again, he would do it again. So if he could end Neely's life, he would do it again. So when you say it's unintentional, I get it. It's not intentional. But if it's not, if I did something unintentionally, I would clear the air and say it was unintentional. I didn't mean to do it, but I had to protect the people on the train. But if I could do it again, I probably would do it differently. You see what I mean, Arbado? You're saying it's unintentional. I get it. It's unintentional. However, it's saying if he could do it again, it would do it the exact same way.
So I know that when you've talked about his mental health, such that you've interacted with him so far, especially in the context of the rage that he displayed yesterday when he showed up at court, you said that he, from what you could see, he's able to make quote unquote knowing decisions. So it just seems to me, and I don't want to get ahead of it, but it seems to me very clear that what you're saying is that you are going to plead not guilty, not guilty by way of insanity or anything like that, just a plain and simple, clear not guilty.
Yeah. So first of all, about this outrage, he's irritated, agitated about what's happening to him and what he's being accused of.
Shout out to CR, bro. CR. Yo, this is public announcement. Okay, CRXR. He already said he's not even drinking yet, so CR is definitely in his right mind. So CR said, "Look, I get that you're on that." Okay, I get it. You're the one that's confused, Luigi. Two wrongs don't make it right. Daniel Penny protected women. One bad, one good. So one is bad, one is good, according to CRXR. But women are saying Luigi has protected them. Don't you get what's going on, CR? Women are saying that Luigi is their hero. They're calling this guy. They're saying this guy has changed, probably changed insurance companies forever. In the United States, women, pregnant women, mothers, grandmas, they're watching this and saying, that's my hero right there. It's on social media, bro. Go on TikTok. Just type Luigi, bro. CRXR say, yo, that ain't the way to do it. I believe you, bro. I believe you. And I don't support or condone Luigi's action. Never will I condone it. He deserves the full extent of the law. But this just shows you what people would support and what people would not support when it's convenient for them. That's why I'm always saying my own truth when it comes to any situation. I'm never going to go with the crowd. Even if all my people say they go with the crowd or they believe that person was wrong or that person was right, I'm still going to say what I believe, because at the end of the day, everybody's going to say what's convenient for them. A lot of people are saying Luigi's right because they see everybody is saying Luigi's right. I'm saying that Luigi is wrong and deserves the full extent of the law. Same thing with Daniel Penny. People are saying, well, he's the hero. Some people are saying he's a hero because a lot of people are saying he's a hero. I say pay a fine, bro. I'm not saying go to jail, Daniel Penny, but come on, pay a fine. That's all I need. But he still has the civil case, which he's most likely going to pay a fine. However, Jordan Neely's family failed Jordan Neely. They deserve, in fact, if Daniel Penny does pay any amount of money, I don't think his family needs to get that money. Really, they need to just send that money to some charity, because his family failed him. They let him be on the subway, homeless, hungry, angry, on drugs, and then you want to come out saying racial spew. His family failed him. Jordan Lee's family failed him. And I would never stop saying that, because it's a father's responsibility to stand and train and protect their child. If you abandon your kids, you get what you get. So I blame Jordan Neely's family as well.
Never had any legal representation until he walked into that building yesterday. And I talked to him. And if you notice, look at the film, look at the difference between when he went in and when he come out. So once he got in, he finally had legal representation. I like to think he had somebody that he can trust and has faith in. And now he has a spokesperson and someone that's going to fight for him. And so I think you'll see a big difference in the demeanor. And I think that part of that, whatever you want to interpret that as yesterday, was a lot of the frustration, being a young man thrown in jail and being accused of very serious matters.
So just to be clear, and I but to be clear, you didn't meet him then. So when we see that rage, you haven't had a chance at that point to have spoken to him or seen him. Your first meeting was actually when he went in the courtroom. Yeah.
No, actually, that was into a holding area, and I was on the other side of that. So my first contact with him visually was, before you had a chance to speak with him, was him coming through that door, and you saw the interaction between he and the sheriff's department, and then look at the video of him coming out, and look at the difference. He's now had legal counsel. I was upset they didn't have any legal counsel prior to that. You know, that extradition hearing came upon really quick, and he hadn't talked to anybody.
So Thomas, do you know at this point why he was in Altoona?
Again, that would be their burden of proof. Again, I can't get into any communications between that occurred between my client and myself.
Have you been
I'm bound by law that I can't do that.
So I was laying out in the introduction the timeline here, right? That his mother said she spoke to him on July 1st, and then 140 days went by between that conversation and the day that she reported him missing in San Francisco. Have you had a chance to speak with her or any other family members at this point?
Again, I'm not going to get into that. I'm not going to get into what my investigation has been up to this point. I appreciate the job you guys do as reporters, because I'm actually using different news reports as my source of information, because nobody's sharing these evidentiary things with me. And again, unfortunately, I can't get into my oath and my duty, my loyalties to my client, and I can't get into certain things. And again, I'm biting at the bit, so to speak, waiting to get my hands on this stuff so we can start attacking it.
Right. Now, I want to ask you one thing, if I may, before we go, and maybe you'll be able to give an answer to this one
Sure.
In a more fulsome way. But police say that Mangione gave them a forged New Jersey ID, when they apprehended him at that McDonald's in Altoona, and that ID, I'm showing it here, I don't know if you can see it, Thomas, but it's the ID under the name Mark Rosario when he was arrested. They say that that matches the ID that the man at the hostel used in New York. That's the photo that we're showing here. That's him. There were two there. One when he is smiling at the person checking him in, and then the other one, the two times we saw his face in New York. When you look at this, and I mean, this is you as a lawyer, you as a citizen, do you think that those pictures look alike, the ID and the actual video captures that they have of the man?
First of all, I cannot see them. You threw a compound question. Being a lawyer, well, I am a citizen, but I'm in different roles when I'm a citizen and as a lawyer. I am Luigi's lawyer. I've entered pleas of not guilty to the charges in Pennsylvania. We have a hearing scheduled, I believe, for December 23rd. That's when they're going to at least introduce some evidence. Like I said, I'm dying to get my hands and my eyes on this stuff so I can examine.
So you don't think you're going to get that evidence until December 23rd? Let's just be clear. That's a Monday, the day before Christmas Eve.
That's, I'm going to try to get it beforehand. Technically, under the rules, they don't have to give it to me until we have the hearing, and that's frustrating.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, it is. So you would have it by that day at the latest. You're going to try to get it before then. Thomas, I appreciate your time, and thank you very much.
Correct.
I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you very much.
Thank you for tuning in to the live show. You know what time it is. It is your boy Genesis. Double tap your screen, subscribe to the channel. What is going on with Mitch McConnell? What is going on with this guy? I think he should retire, man. I think he should retire. There should be term limits. There should be term limits. He's so old. He's falling down and stuff. Man, Jesus. Mitch McConnell needs to retire, guys. He needs to retire. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to play you guys a video. This is what people are saying concerning Luigi. Right here. I hope it comes up because my Twitter always does too much, or my X. Also, Tesla has gone up to the moon, guys. Tesla is 420. Isn't that wild? $420 per share. Isn't just look? That's just wild. Tesla was like, what, one something early this year or two something. Now it's 420, $420 per stock. Yeah, that's wild. Okay, so there you have it.
Scene with the words deny, defend, and depose. Law enforcement.
So there you have it. People are literally tattooing Luigi on their body. You guys see what I see? People are literally tattooing this guy on their body. And listen to this. I'm going to play out this. People are going crazy, guys. People are doing crazy things in this world. I can never understand why, but people do crazy things. Check this out. So Piers Morgan interviewed this lady, and she said she felt joy after what Luigi did. She's actually like a media person.
That's why I felt, along with so many other Americans, joy, unfortunately, because it feels like I do believe in the sanctity of life. And I think that's why I felt, along with so many other Americans, joy, unfortunately, because it feels like.
Serious?
I mean,
joy at a man's execution?
Maybe not joy, but certainly not empathy. Because again,
we're watching the footage. How can this make you joyful? This guy's a husband, he's a father, and he's being gunned down in the middle of Manhattan. Why does that make you joyful?
Of Americans that be murdered. So are the tens of thousands of Americans, innocent Americans, who died because greedy health insurance executives like this one push policies of denying care to the most vulnerable people. And the many millions of Americans that have watched people that I care about suffer and in some cases die because of lack of health care.
So should they all be killed then? Should they all be killed, these healthcare executives? Would that make you even more joyful?
No, that would not.
But why not?
And,
why are you laughing?
I think because it wouldn't fix the
You seem to find the whole thing hilarious.
I find your question funny.
A bloke's been murdered in the street. I don't find it funny at all.
I don't find it funny that tens of thousands of Americans die every year and because they are denied life-saving health care from people like the CEO. Now, I want to fix the system. You're right. We shouldn't be going around shooting each other with vigilante justice. No. I think that it is a good thing that this murder has led to America, or really the media elites and politicians in this country paying attention to this issue for the first time. You mentioned you couldn't understand why somebody would feel this reaction when they watched a CEO die. It's because you have not dealt, it sounds like, with the American healthcare system in the way that millions of other Americans have.
I've dealt with the healthcare system in various ways in America. I don't think it's perfect by any means, but the idea that I would view it as something.
Have you been denied life-saving treatment?
The idea that I would view it as something joyful that a man has been, who's just a healthcare executive, has been executed in the street, I find completely bizarre.
You have not.
There you have it, guys. I'm telling you. A lot of leftists, a lot of independent are saying this is this is total BS as far as I'm concerned. What she's saying is total BS. However, you saw people tattooing this guy on their body. Because this is the thing. Poor people are more than the rich people. There's no, like, anywhere in the world, the have-nots are more than the haves. So the have-nots are always going to support a Robin Hood, people like Luigi. It's never going to end. You think people who don't have are going to support the CEO of United Healthcare? No, they're not. They're not. As a matter of fact, poor-minded people think rich folks, wealthy people are their issues, are their problems. That's why a lot of people, especially brown skin, don't support Trump. They're going to say, this guy is wealthy. This guy was born with a silver spoon. What does he know about us? The have-nots. That's what they say, because they are just poor mentally. It's not. Poverty is a state of mind. It's not actually what you have in your bank account. Poverty is a state of mind. It's not what you have in your bank account. And that's why people criticize me, tell me I'm a coon, tell me I'm a house slave or whatever when I say I voted for the OG, the legend, the Don, the 45th, now the 47th. They're going to say, oh, he's a house nigga. Here's a what? He's a coon, guys. That's what they say. Because poverty is a state of mind, people. It is a state of mind. So, guess what? The people are going to support Luigi. The people are going to support, there's nothing you can say. The people are going to support Luigi. There is nothing you can say. because a lot of people are going through life hard. But you know what? That's my that is the updates for the nights, people. I'm gonna be back right here probably by midnight. Let's say 1-2 a.m. They just say that to demonize you because it's all they got. Yeah, you're right, Mr. Busky. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Shout out to everybody tuning in. God bless you for tuning in. The updates you have been waiting for all day. That's it. I have more for you. We're gonna watch some hearing when I come back here, probably in 4 or 5 hours. Whoever is here, because look, my life is everywhere at this point. I'm trying to be a full-time father, trying to make sure my spouse is good, trying to make sure my family is good. So you guys bear with me, okay? I'm not coming here as often as I should, but I gotta do what I gotta do, okay? You guys are the best. Thank you. Mr. Busky said people are just too one-sided. Absolutely. That's why when somebody says something, I'm like, that's far right. That's just far right. And when somebody else says something, I'll be like, yo, that's far left. But it's like, some far right people don't want to admit that they are far right. Some far left people don't want to agree that they are far left. Like, God bless you, Ellie. God bless you, Ellie. God bless you, Arbado. God bless you, Mr. Busky. Thank you, Average Joe. Thank you to everybody who is here, who tunes in, will support. God bless you. Thank you. Without you, there is no stream. There is no show. God bless you to all the moderators. God bless you. Thank you. And to all the veterans in the chat, you guys are the best. Instead of looking for perfection, seek for consistency. Never give up on yourself. Never give up on your dreams. Never give up on God. Believe in yourself. Believe in your dreams. And believe in God. Never, ever, 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 ever give up. Okay? Never give up on yourself. Stay strong. The future is bright. Let's get it. It is your boy Genesis, and I am signing out of the premises.